Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. However you happen to be watching and or listening to this, I want to welcome you to the latest episode of the Gaming Circle podcast. The podcast where, yes, things have happened. We've had fun. People have been busy. We've had different guests here and there, but now we're back. We're forming that Voltron. I got the dynamic duo and a guest, but we're going to get into it this week. I am, of course, your host, Mr. K. Asante, TKO Asante on all the places we communicate. And I am joined by the successful one, the one who not only completed the Kickstarter on time, was kissing babies and handing out comic books, but also got my wares to me on time at the same damn time. Mr. Everborn Saga, good morning, sir. How you doing?
What's happening? It has been a very busy couple of weeks, but I'm proud to say that everyone who has backed the campaign and has filled out a survey, there's still 4 of you that didn't, but everyone that did has already received their rewards. And I would challenge any other Kickstarter to fulfill their pledges as fast as we did. But
I'll be honest with you, sir. I had to throw the flowers at you even when you weren't on the show, because the opening of the box was almost Series X worthy. It was quite good. Well done, sir.
Take a little bit of inspiration. I'm not gonna lie, but I know we have a guest, so we'll come back to me.
Yes, sir.
But I do want to talk about Comic-Con as well, because that was certainly
okay. We'll do that. Yep.
Experience. There's a lot going on in the world of Everborn. But please introduce our illustrious faceless guest. He could have at least uploaded a picture of something.
At least.
Like
but here we are. We always love having this man on the show. He's mysterious. He's somewhere with a smoke in his hand while the globe is behind us. Behind him, I should say. Our own favorite Koofy cat, Mr. Lucius Augustus. Good morning, sir. Where the heck is your logo, man? What's going on?
That will be uploaded soon.
There you go.
I'm doing okay. I just finished beating Metaphor Refantasio as a way to make sure that I'm ready for Dragon Age next week when that drops. Because these
talk about one no life to another no life.
Yeah, like these RPGs take a lot out of you. So, in fact, I could have finished Metaphor earlier, because I went hard in the paint the first few days and got really far into the game. But just like everything in life, sometimes when you do it too much, it's just it's not as fun. So I had to take a few days off of Metaphor.
Are you still talking about video games?
I said there's pauses all over the place. He went hard in the paint. He's doing it too much. Like, calm down, man. It's not that type of morning.
You guys have an interest in mind. We're talking about video games. So yeah,
indeed we are.
I had to take a couple days off of Metaphor, but then I jumped back in. I finished the final boss, and I have thoughts.
We will get into it, sir. We will get into it. I'm happy that you are one. I think we cover the gamut. We cover the spectrum of Metaphor, because we're gonna talk about Metaphor today. We cover the gamut of it, because I finished the demo, and because of all the craziness and all the accolades and the time sink that I've heard this is, I'm kind of pumping my brakes until the dust settles a bit. I think Mr. Everborn Saga is early days into it, and you have finished it. So we're gonna have a good discussion when we get to that. But before we do, first and foremost, I have to welcome all the fine folks that are in here. I see y'all in here right now. Please hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Consider being a subscriber if you are new here. This is what we do on a Saturday morning. I see a bunch of folks on both the Twitter side and the YouTube side. Thank you guys so much for pulling up as you do every Saturday morning. But let's double back to the Mr. Everborn Saga. Sir, tell us about Comic-Con.
Oh man, where to start? So we had a successful weekend. Some of you guys from the community came out to check me out there. Shout out to the Iron Lords, obviously King David, Lord Sovereign. I got to meet Attic for the first time in person.
Is he as tall as he appears?
Oh man, like this guy's like in another life he was a bouncer or something. Like
okay. In other words, don't talk all that smack. You see him on the street,
he
ain't gonna be happy.
If people knew the size of Attic, they probably wouldn't talk to him the way they did. pause. But also, shout out to Starchasm. He came through. Geek Life Mike. So there was a lot of people out there. And I don't want to miss anybody's name, but it was very dope out there. The other thing is I got to I didn't get to walk the floor like I wanted to, because I had this whole thing planned where I was going to document the whole thing. But it was super interesting.
We always have lofty plans until we get there. We busy, right?
Yeah. Well, I had to man the table the whole time. And what I noticed, right, is that all my other table mates, the people around me, like they had people with them, right?
Yep.
You had one guy that paid a cosplayer to like dress as his character and kind of bring people over to the booth. You had the people on the right of me. It was 3 of them sharing one booth. The people on the opposite side, they had people assigned to days. So there's one guy that was there all 4 days, but then who his table mate was, they came and they went. And this is also how I think people mitigate the cost, because I don't know if I can say the cost, but it's not cheap for a table there. And then we did this thing, which if there's any creators out there that are interested at tabling at an event like this, we did this thing where we printed 500 bags, right? And they were like nylon kind of woven, holds 30 pounds, because that's what you need when you go to Comic-Con, right? You buy all this stuff, you need bags. So we got
the swag bag. That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So we were giving away free bags if we could scan your badge. We had to pay separately for a badge scanner. Again, I won't talk about the price because I don't know if ReedPop allows me to do that. But we had that, and so we would scan the badges, and then we get, like, if we scan your badge, we get your email, and then now I can add you to the mailing list. Anyone that's doing like an online business, you'll know that your mailing list is the lifeblood of your store. But anyway, so that went off like exactly as planned, because people would come to the table because they heard we were giving out free bags. When they came to the table, we were able to pitch them on the comic book, tell them a little bit about the story. And I had to learn to stop giving away so much of the story in the pitch, by the way. So Everborn Saga was in effect again for his own story. But there's another thing to that, where you don't want your pitch to be too long, because then you could talk yourself out of a sale, or you could get a line and then people are like, well, they're taking too long with that person, so we move to the next one. But anyway, people would come for the bag. I scan the badge, I get the email, I tell them we'll shoot you an email when the next book comes out, so they're not getting like weird spam emails from us.
Sure. But
then I noticed this phenomenon of there were Everborn bags just floating around every day, and people like, where's the bag from?
Right, yeah,
like,
there you go.
Who's 2039? So, and then we got to connect with a lot of like industry people, like people that do printing. I found a few potential print providers, and I'll announce this here. The next chapter of Ariel's adventure will end the first arc. And so I don't know if you've read it yet, but if you see kind of where we end the first one.
Not quite yet. My daughters want to read it with me, and as such, they won't allow me to read it beforehand. And by the way, once again, salute to you, sir. This was such a presentation. Oh man,
show it to him. Put him on camera. Show it to him. Let
it was a thing, bro. It was. Let me see if I can we zoom, or is it still zooming in on me? Weird. Anyway, it was a whole situation with the clothes. I mean, man, well done, sir. Well done. All right.
I got to meet a lot of people that had I met a person that runs a show in New Jersey. I got an invite to come and speak at a school in Brooklyn, which they just messaged me.
That's beautiful.
I'm going to get back to you. So
that's beautiful. Like, that's great.
So many connections made, so many like new fans that had no idea what we were doing. And now they're like super excited for the next thing. I see MJ Dark in the chat. Don't worry, you will not have to wait as long.
I love the slander, bro. So good.
For chapter 3 that you had to wait for chapter 2. We're actually, this is another thing. So we did 3 things in these last couple of months, and it is also why I haven't had a chance to do as much gaming as I would like. But we did the Kickstarter, which again, thank you everybody. Successful, fantastic. Everyone should have their stuff now, and I'm interested to hear what people think about chapter 2. The next thing is we did Comic-Con. That went off that went off basically without a flaw. There's some more things I want to talk about that, but then we also relaunched the website. And we are in full production right now on 2 books simultaneously, and normally we work on one at a time. So we're doing the new series that we're launching, The Remnant, at the end of next year. That's going to be a whole big hardcover book. And then we're doing The Redlands Chapter 2. So the other thing about the show was that I think that when we go back, I'm thinking of doing the cosplayer thing. So I'm gonna maybe reach out to some cosplayers or have the missus figure that out for me, and because it's gonna look kind of crazy if I'm just DMing cosplayers. So I'll let the missus do that, but to have them dress as the characters, bring them to the table, because it is a very difficult thing to be able to do a pitch, to do by the way, Big Bad Mo, I probably should have said this. We did, because we wanted to ship out right away, we had to only offer the shirts that we had on hand, but people that wanted other size, they just reached out to me, and like Mr. K. Asante right now, he didn't like the size that we had, so he reached out and asked for another one. So let me know if you want a bigger size. We could work something out. Anybody that wasn't cool with the size that they got, the size that we had on offer. But anyway, trying to be a salesman, trying to manage payments, trying to get people to come to the booth, trying to like explain people, and then have people feel like you're not just selling them something and you're looking them in the eye and you're talking to them. That was the big, and again, we probably made at the show triple what the table cost, right? But good. It could have been better. It is just that it was had you rolled with a team. Yeah. Right. It was just me trying to do all those things, and there's a lot of people that I learned that as well. I had to walk away. I learned that when I went to a Gamescom. Like, you have these lofty plans. I want to record. I want to talk to people, and you're the same person running around getting to the appointment, and you got to record, and you got to listen to the person you're talking to. Things get sacrificed because you prioritize what's more important. You roll with a team, you can split focus, do one thing, let somebody else do something else. I learned that on my way. You can't be a one-man band when you're doing those things. I even recorded a lot of video walking around the show, because it was like, hey, everybody, this is what Comic-Con looks like before the day opens. Because, I got, because I was an exhibitor, right, I was there a day early. I got to come in before the regular Gen Pop and set my table up and then walk around and do those things. And I had this whole plan, and there was no time for it. Like, I had to wait till the afternoon when the missus came around just to like go to the bathroom. Like, that's how bad it was, because it was just so crowded. But I loved it. I will be back, and the goal for 2025 is to do at least 6 of these shows. So nice. I will. That's awesome. I already signed the interest form to come to I think it's SuperCon in Florida. That one's in Miami. Oh, that's what's up. Yeah, I'll be there. I know there's one in Orlando. There's one in Orlando. Wonder, I think it's WonderCon in Orlando. Right. Sure, and then there's C2E2 which is in Chicago, which I don't know, because you kind of have to justify the cost of the table plus shipping things. plus a hotel, which if I had to do that, like if I wasn't from New York and I had to ship the product to a warehouse for the 4 days, and then whatever I don't sell, I have to ship back, and then I have to get a hotel room, I don't think the show would have been a sort of net positive, like cash flow wise. And it's more than about the cash, right? It's really about the new fans. So we were able to collect 250 new emails. Nice. And so presumably those are 250 new fans that will like support the next thing that we do. And it's a grind, right? So there's that. Then the whole, and I'll try to wrap this up soon because I know I'm boring people, but the Kickstarter was a huge thing that we tried to do some special branding that we knew people normally would not see. So that you showed the box that you got there, the way we package things, the way, and so we did a lot of effort for that. Like you got the box, but some people got the bubble wrap, which I think is like, believe it or not, even cooler than the box. Believe it or not, I don't. Nice, if you're in the chat and you got the bubble wrap for your pledge, let everybody know what you think. So we did that thing, and we're gonna expand more into that because I want to get like some custom like laminate coated boxes as well. You got to order those ahead of time. So we only ordered maybe 150 just so that we could cover the campaign. But I'm gonna do like a big 500 order that I'll just keep for the year, and then refill as needed. So, but you got to order those like in big bulk. So maybe we need 1,000. I don't know. But anyway, there's that, and there's the relaunch of the website, which is live right now. And we have a new winter line of clothes. So it has it has the shirt you're wearing, and there's one with also Baltimore and one with Godwin that's like the shirt you have. But there's
my daughter says it looks like her. So
there you go. You know what's funny about Karma? So the next book we have coming, The Remnant, the main character there, Alice Ravenwood, her likeness is based off of Lady Everborn. But
of course, I remember.
Now she hasn't read this book yet, right? The Remnant, but she has read the Redlands. So now she's more of a fan of Karma than her own character. And I'm like, so she wants to now dress as Karma in the next show. I'm like, nice. You got a whole ass character, and Karma's just the one everybody likes. But yeah, like go to everbornsaga.com right now, at least to see the site and all the work we put in there. But there is, like, if you missed the Kickstarter, you can get Ariel's Adventure Chapter 2 right now because that's live. Because as I said, I wanted to make sure we shipped everybody's orders first. And we still have some of the limited variant covers that we didn't sell at Comic-Con. So if you want to get those, you have a little bit of time. Yes, that one. By the way, everyone loved that cover, by the way, the one you're showing right there with Baltimore. I'm starting to wonder if that should have been the main cover. It's too late now. But that's the one everyone picked when they had the chance to pick.
I'm also a fan of this one. I'm actually a fan of because of the whole because of the pixel bit genius of it all. I really like it. It's cool. Yeah. But yes, this is good, man.
If once you get through Chapter 2, you'll learn we already have the cover for Chapter 3. So Chapter 3 is like already in the
no spoilers.
The cover
for
Chapter 3 is in the back of the book. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not getting there yet. No spoilers. Calm down.
No
Everborn in your own story, sir.
Yes. And then the last thing is 2025. We have a lot of things going on. I'm hoping to have the Windows Phone port onto iOS and Android by June. We're also going to launch the Redlands Chapter 3.
You heard it here first. Everborn game coming out June. Ooh,
the mobile, but that's not the main big sequel. That's just bringing the Windows Phone game over to mobile. Sure.
So it has but at least it gives people who want a taste of it something to play in June.
Yes, and then we have the Redlands Chapter 2, which is the next book we're going to launch, and then at the end of the year, we will launch that hardcover new chapter, and we might, and so you'll get the Redlands Chapter 2 and Ariel's Adventure Chapter 2 by the end of the year. I'll say that's Chapter 3 by the end of the year. So
nice.
And maybe I'm working things out with the schedule of the artists. We're also working on the next iteration of Prince of Arcadia. So 2025 is going to be
you're putting some work in this year.
You know what? Because me and Lady Everborn, we had some other businesses that we started and had to get going, and they're going well now. Kind of not self-sustaining. We got to manage them like babies, but they're going, and so now I can get back to business and focus on this. I've been spending a lot of time writing, which brings you and me to the games we're playing.
Well, but before we get there, let me first off acknowledge all the wonderful human beings that are in the chat right now. There are people like talking to us, leaving super chats and stuff. Let me get to that real quick. First off, salute to the great Soil Tech who's here. He said he got the bubble wrap version and he's enjoying it. He's got it on display. So salute to you, good sir. You know, I appreciate your support. Of course, we have Big Bad Mo celebrating 9 months as a member. Shout out to you, sir. He says, shout out to the panel. And I want to thank Everborn for the hoodie. Appreciate you for good looking out. That's awesome, man. You know, I see people walking around in their swag. It makes you feel good. It's a beautiful thing, you know. And then, of course, we have J Mack in here. He says, shout out to the Gaming Circle Podcast, K Asante, Everborn Saga. Salute, gentlemen. Graybeards in the building. Salute to you, good sir. I appreciate you every Saturday morning. The man is here. He's in the chat. He's hanging out. We appreciate you, man. This is real cool. And of course, my brother, Mr. John Wolf, he's still waiting for that smoke. He says, don't forget the game of the year. Astrobot still has no sales numbers. We'll talk a little bit about that this morning. We'll talk a little bit about that. Calm down, sir.
By the way, in the chat, I'm trying to see who asked this question. The Black John says, so another chapter will be ready for next year's NYCC. Sir, we will have at least 2 chapters ready for next year's NYCC.
Ooh, he's striking that iron hot. That's
different characters, but different characters. But yes, we will have at least 2 books ready for next year's NYCC.
And I see the great Don Otaku's in there. Salute to you, good sir. Always supporting. He's been on the show a couple times. And by the way, congratulations on that milestone. He's getting some people to subscribe to his channel. He's doing good things. You know, if you're into that abacus talk, you know where to reach. Why don't you click on his link right now on his profile right now and go and support him on his channel. How about you subscribe? Because you know when the abacus turns into an 8-track player, people gonna want to talk, and he'll be on the front lines of that. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I got to do the slander this morning. It's what I do. Forgive me. And then Mr. MJ Dark with a $5 super chat. Good morning, MJ. He says, when there is no Mario game to play, I guess people have no choice but to choose Kmart Sonic Generations. Right, Everborn? Have a great show. God, Jima. Damn. That is some painful words, man.
Not to me. Not when you doing $1 million on the first day and other people didn't release their numbers. I didn't even see that new Zelda release their numbers, but we're not gonna talk about that.
We ain't gonna go there, right? We're gonna leave that alone for now.
A lot of people hide numbers and witness protection. They want to come at Sonic.
And then we have the great Post Up with a $2 super chat. He says, all love to my brothers. Enjoy your weekend. Salute to you, Post. We need to have you back on the show. It's been a minute.
Wait a minute.
What's up?
What's up? Pixelbit G's comment. Shout out to the one and only.
Let's see. The one and only Pixelbit G, who's celebrating 9 months as a channel member himself. He says, so much, just jumping in to say cheers to you dudes. Always, as always, like is good. Everborn talking spicy. More chapters, please. That's what he said. He said more chapters, please.
Yeah, on the way.
More chapters. And he's on the cover, so you know, he has the ability to be like, hey man, I need my likeness to be represented more positively. I feel you, man. And actually, Michelle Alexander with a $5 super chat. And she just decided to leave his $5 super chat. That's it. Nothing to say, but we appreciate you. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for being here. So, let's say, before we get into all the craziness, Lucius, we're gonna have you start this because, you know, You're our guest here this week, sir. Is there anything you want to talk about before we get into the metaphorness of it all? Any other games that are on your radar this week?
Gentlemen, I think that I have joined the olds. I have to
Okay.
take my hat and just pack it up because I am actually stuck somewhere in Call of Duty right now. Call of Duty Black Ops 6, playing that on Game Pass.
There you go.
Very
Okay.
much enjoying the campaign. It is incredible. It's an incredible, fun campaign. What they did in Modern Warfare 3 with kind of like the open world section, they took the lessons learned from that. They saw how people negatively reacted to that, X, Y, and Z. They made a much smaller version of that and kind of in the middle of the game where you can kind of explore more. It's very fun. But it's because it's contained, you don't spend too much time on it, even if you do everything on the map, right? The gunplay is great, the action is bombastic, all of that's fantastic. I then get to the section of the game where it's essentially just zombies, right? And they're introducing you to some of the mechanics inside of zombies. I've never been a zombies player, right? I've always stayed away from that, and zombies is very, very different from your typical Call of Duty. You have to kind of play differently. And I am getting clapped. It is an unfortunate situation. And I just don't know if I'm just bad or I have no idea. But I am struggling on that part specifically. And I was playing the entire game on normal. So it wasn't like it should have been incredibly difficult or anything. And so I swallow my pride. I drop it down to easy. I still can't get past the zombie section. So if I ever want to complete this campaign, my only option is to start playing zombies, get good at zombies, and then come back to the campaign now that I have all the knowledge on how to play zombies, and then just clear that part of the mission. And if it was just like, oh, this is like a 10-minute section. No, it's like an hour-long section.
Mr. John Wolf is telling you to get a fly digi and get good.
A fly digi isn't going to help you when it comes to resource management and all the other aspects that you need to understand about zombies to get past this section, right? Like, I'm just not playing the game in the way that you should be playing zombies. And because of that, I am just getting clapped. So that's really unfortunate. Maybe post, some an update post release, they make it so that way. Like, I feel like even when you're playing on easy in that section, it's the difficulty doesn't decrease really, and the amount of damage that you're doing doesn't, because if you've ever played around with difficulty scaling on games, when you drop it on easy, it's almost like they want you to win. Right.
Of course.
It's almost like they're just like, hey, like we just kind of want you to get past everything, so whatever. This is not like that. So I don't know if they just didn't scale it properly, so that way, like, even on easy, it's not, the damage isn't scaling properly. I'm not sure. But yeah,
I mean, so to your point real quick, and this is my footage, by the way, because I've been playing the campaign as well. To your point about them scaling it not properly, I know you played this on Xbox. Have you noticed any weirdness in that? Because beyond scaling, I've seen some, specifically with water, I've seen some weird bugs, like it jitters and stuff, at least on PC anyway. And you might see it on this as well. It's, even though it plays well and I've been able to play it and it's decent, I'm getting the feeling that there's some bugs, that there's some patches incoming. What are your thoughts?
At least on Xbox, I didn't notice anything particularly bad when it comes to any of the water or anything. That could be a PC specific problem. And the only things that I noticed were some of the shimmering that you get with like FSR.
A lot of that.
So like, I'm getting some of that, but there were reports saying that at least the Game Pass version of the game. I don't know about the Steam version of the game, as I guess I don't know anybody who is playing the Steam version of the game. But apparently, there's over 200,000 people playing it. So,
yeah, concurrent players are getting wild right now.
People didn't buy it, but the Game Pass version of it, even on PC, seems to have some issues with some upscalers, and it's not just an FSR problem. There seems to be problems with implementation of FSR, XeSS, and DLSS. So that could
some
be
weird jittery. I played it obviously on my PC with DLSS, and it is. I can attest that there is some jittery stuff going on.
Yeah, there's some dithering happening for like more specific things, but overall, the campaign is an incredible experience. It's really fun. It's really bombastic. You're jumping from things to things. I as a person who does not enjoy zombies as much, this section is really making me not like this as much, because I've enjoyed the game so far, and I want to complete the campaign because the story is so interesting. But I don't know. I don't know how much I'm willing to bang my head against the wall to try to learn a game mode that I never am going to like. I'm not a zombies person. I don't want to touch zombies. That's great for people who love it. I'm happy for you, but shoehorning this mode in the middle of the game and making it as difficult as it is for people who just like drop it on easy just doesn't seem like a good look. I don't know. Okay.
No, I can appreciate that. So I haven't hit that part yet. I'm still early in the campaign. As you see in the footage there, I'm watching them talk. The man that looks like Everborn Saga. By the way, they really look like Everborn Saga. I'm just saying.
I disagree.
My Black Viking called you out, and he was right, bro. He looks exactly like Everborn. Depending on the view, some views are better than others, but in some look, it's just like, yeah, man, they really captured your likeness. But yes. So beyond the and I was talking to John Wolf in the chat. I have to try this on my mini and see how that plays. So far, I've been playing it on the big PC. I actually plan on installing it also on Xbox. Try it there. As far as campaigns go, hey man, it's a beautiful thing. And
is that
you would talk?
Sorry, is
Go
this?
ahead.
I'm just looking at the footage here, and I played this opening yesterday. Is that Lou Diamond Phillips?
Yes, it is. It is Lou Diamond Phillips, 100%. Good job. Okay. Good call out. Yes, right. It is. Yes, it is. See, look at Everborn Saga. What you trying to say, bro? That is Everborn Saga. Anyway, I have to say, the game plays well. It's fun. It's got that bombastic energy. You know, so far, I'm excited about it. So far, it's a pretty fun game.
Let me know if you get to the zombie section and how you feel about it generally.
Sure.
There's a zombie section in the main campaign.
In the main campaign, yes.
This is how you know everyone hasn't been paying attention for the past 5 minutes.
Exactly. That's how you know, because we were just talking about that.
That by the way, entire contention about why my issue with the campaign so far is just they shoehorned a zombie section in the middle of it. It's very atmospheric. Don't get me wrong. It's beautiful. It's atmospheric. I just don't want to play it. I wish I could skip the mission.
Y'all see how it keeps going to menus? It's because it won't let you take screenshots. At least not on in the when you hit the screenshot button, it goes to the menu. And every time I go and I check the screenshots I've taken, it just shows the menu. It's like it doesn't want you to take the screenshot of the game that's live. It's very weird. I may have to use a third-party tool to do it. But as I keep pressing the button, it goes into the menu.
Maybe the button that the shortcut that it's registered to is probably
also hits the menu.
Hits the menu. Yeah, probably one of those.
Yep.
And you're playing the Windows Store version.
Yes, I am. We are playing the Windows Store version. Salute to the great Wandering Dutch. He says he's had absolutely no issues for him on any of the modes. Good to have you here, bro. It's been a minute. I hope you're doing well. We got to chat, man. It's been too long. Hope you're doing all right.
Dutch told you to get good.
Oh, yeah, of course. Who
told me to get good?
Right. Dutch told you to get good.
Okay.
He didn't say those words.
Not in those words, exactly.
Hey, man.
But I interpreted it as get good.
I would ask Dutch, have you completed the campaign?
I'm not sure. Let's see what he has to say. Dutch,
again,
let us know.
I don't think that once again, I know that what I'm doing wrong. I am not playing that in the way that I should be playing zombies. But I don't play zombies. I like that's not that even when zombies was in its heyday with like Black Ops 2, I never played it. That was just not the mode that I don't like horde modes. That's not what I enjoy. And literally it's in the middle of the entire campaign. So if I want to complete the okay, and well, he said not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Also play zombies, which is insane this time.
Yeah, once again,
So
I'm not a
he's
zombies
player.
person. Essentially, the only way that I'm going to be able to get past this campaign section is to go to the zombies mode, learn how to play zombies, and then come back, and then come back. Play this section of the campaign. But zombies and the way that the campaign wants you to play the game are two different ways of playing Call of Duty, like completely. So to make it so that way I have to do this in the middle of the campaign and I can't skip it, it's just, I don't know.
No.
So let me ask you a question. Just maybe you explained this already. The reason I wasn't paying attention is because I was I have pages of the new book that we're releasing next year. I wanted to show it later, but I was just queuing it up. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. The question is, this story starts out very grounded. I'm having trouble... I'm having trouble with the verisimilitude of them introducing zombies into what they've showed us so far.
It makes sense inside of the story as to the framework of it. It makes sense. Like that isn't the problem, right? My issue is that like the mechanics are completely different. Like they throw you into this mode with new mechanics. They have like a grappling hook, like from Halo or whatever. All that's really cool, but it's just completely different.
Yeah,
and
like you're playing a whole new game.
If you've actually read the reviews, not just like look at people, because I see somebody says, like somebody said, I haven't heard anybody complain about the COD campaign. If you've actually read the reviews rather than looking at the scores, the reviews, almost every single review themselves said, hey, this zombie section is really cool and all, but almost every single one of them talked about how frustrating it was. So it wasn't just me. It's not just me.
Let me ask you a question, because they do like,
you don't have enough ammo. There's like one location where you have ammo, and unless I play this game like 6 or 7 or 8 times to run around to find every single perfect spot, so that way I know where to run to, and it's just like, why? I don't want to play that way. Like I don't want to. Once again, that is the way to play zombies. That is not the way that I want to play this game. They shoehorned this zombies mode in the middle of playing this game, and I'm like,
Well, see, so I listened to a couple.
Understanding, maybe you should actually play the game. Go play the game.
Well, I listened to a couple podcasts where representatives from the dev team were on, and it seems like they're looking at this game, at least from what I was watching, listening to. This was the official Xbox podcast. They've even started a COD pod. Have you heard of this? Crazy. Anyway, the reason why, from their perspective, from what they said, the reason why they have some of that in the game seems like they know that a lot of people may not be with the opportunity of Game Pass and a few other things. They're expecting to have to introduce people to the game that have either not played it ever or have not played it for some time. So they feel like since those modes are regulated to those who play it and that's it, they're trying to incorporate them into the main game, because chances are you'll come play the campaign because it's now on Game Pass. They're hoping to reintroduce you to the different aspects of it.
I just wanted a Call of Duty campaign, man. I don't like they.
Yeah.
You could say that the open world section was their kind of war zone kind of, but it wasn't really. It was still very much Call of Duty. Like, I don't know. Like, as somebody who does not play zombies and has never played zombies, I do not touch it.
It didn't interest you.
It does not interest me that I have to do this whole thing in the middle of it and relearn how to play this game, because I've played a lot of Call of Duty campaigns in the past. Like, that's primarily how I engage with the medium.
So hold on, right here. Remember I was telling you about the water? You might actually see it in my footage in a minute. Like, it was blinking, a lot of blinking. See, look at the water. You may not.
I saw it. I saw it.
Yeah, there's a lot of blinking in the water.
Yeah, I never saw that. Weird. I never saw that on Xbox.
I wonder what this experience is going to be for me, because I have not played a COD
there you go, look.
campaign or multiplayer in ages.
Yeah, this is my first COD campaign in maybe 10 years, maybe 8.
Which is why I think they're doing what they're doing as far as introducing zombies and putting all that stuff in the campaign. They're trying to reintroduce those lapsed players back into the fold and saying, hey, these are pieces of the other modes. If you're interested, then it'll entice you into actually going into those modes. I think that's why they're putting those, they're kind of quote unquote shoehorning them in, you know?
I completely understand that. I just, if you're going to introduce those modes, just like, I don't know, make it a little easier or something.
How different is this from when the flood attack in Halo?
It's not that much different, but at least in Halo, I feel more powerful. There's like a shield. I can run away, so that way my shield comes back up, that sort of thing. That isn't too bad, but with this, like, it's especially like, so okay, so to explain the section, there's kind of like a large boss, and then there will be like a couple zombies here or there, right? And as you do damage to the boss, he'll do this thing where he disappears, and then you have to like kind of survive the zombies trying to kill you, right? And at the very end stage, when the boss is pretty much dead, like 100 zombies show up out of nowhere, and I have no ammo by that time. So I have I have no ammo. I have no idea where to get ammo. I go near the turrets, but the turrets aren't doing enough damage to those people. And typically in zombies mode, as you like slowly go up these the difficulty of zombies, you get to upgrade not only your weapons, but you get to upgrade your defenses, right? That's kind of the benefit of like the horde mode as it is. It's kind of like a defense tower sort of thing. In this, none of that shit happens. So it's just I found one gun, and I can't even, like, when I press Y to switch to the other weapon that I had, which was just like a hatchet, I can't even switch to that. So like the moment that I pick up that gun, that's the only weapon that I have, and that's the only ammo that I have so far from the places that I found. So the solution is either learn how to play zombies and get really good at zombies, or play the game like 5, 6, 7 times. Fly Digi isn't going to help you here.
No, I know. I'm being ridiculous. Right? I understand.
Or play it 5, 6, 7 different times. Learn where every single thing is, and then just play it like that. But that's not really the game that I want to play. No, I understand.
You know,
the game that I wanted to play was a Michael Bay simulator, a Michael Bay movie.
Which it kind of is still. It kind of is. It just has a bit more complexity.
How about you get to that zombie section and come back to me?
Sure.
So two things I'll say. One, I wonder if this is like launch day balancing issues.
That's what I was asking.
In an update, they'll just add more ammo when they see people are struggling with this piece, because we've seen that before, right? Where they have
and then I'll jump back in. But like until then, I don't see it as a good time.
The other thing is this one of those kind of Elden Ring things? Not to compare this game to Elden Ring, but there's a section where you're just like, this is completely cheating. It's unfair. What is this bullshit? Sorry, I guess that's my one. And then it kind of clicks with you, and then like you kind of get through it, and now you're happy you got through it. And then you like, is it just one of those things where this section is harder than the rest and you just kind of stick it out? Or is it
maybe that but when there's like when there's an easy toggle and I switch it to easy and I'm still getting destroyed,
have you restarted after you switch to easy? Because I find sometimes games will have issues where, this is not a Call of Duty specific thing, but in general, where you don't notice the easy toggle until you do a restart, even though they say it should be active now. Have you tried to like start the game, go into menu?
I have not restarted since doing that. So I could try it again with setting it to easy and then starting the entire mission all over. maybe that would help me. But yeah.
Ooh,
They're not. They're not. They are not giving you easy, man. They're telling you it's a problem between the controller and the seat right now.
I started this entire conversation by saying, gentlemen, I might be cooked. X, Y, and Z. Blah blah blah. I may
hey
have
man,
to,
you are among graybeards here. You're safe. You're good. You're in a safe space.
I'm also, I also know that like I have. I'm very skilled in video games, so like,
ooh, yeah. Oh, hey, you hear this guy? You hear this guy?
Listen,
choose the game 1-on-1. I'll play whoever's talking shit.
Ooh, right. Wow, he is out here.
Let me say something.
Whoever thinks that they can pull up,
Woo. Okay.
On the set.
He's saying if you feel froggy, ladies and gentlemen, you got to leap. It is what it is.
We'll get me in a second, but I will say that in today's world, with all of the things that are available to us, because it's like, I know that the gaming industry's cooked, whatever, but like there's so many like top tier games right now that you can't really afford to be pissing people off. Right? Because if I'm stuck.
Real quick, Sneck is saying this entire podcast is just campaign spoilers.
I would disagree. I have said zero things about the story at all, which is what matters.
And the gameplay you're watching is literally from the first 10 to 15 minutes. So I think you're being a little sensitive.
Well, if it is spoiled, it wasn't me. But
for once,
hey, what can I say? I've graduated to spoiling my own work. But anyway, I just think that like in today's world, right? Like because right now I'm playing Windblown, Sonic X Shadow Generations. I played the first mission on here, so I got to the safe house. And Metaphor, and it's like, because I really want to play every one of those, because every one of those offer something very different, unique, and interesting. And every time I'm playing one of those games, I start thinking about another one of them, and I don't really feel like I'm enjoying any of them because I want to play them all and I'm thinking about all of them. And if I can tell you right now, Lucius, if I get to this zombie thing you're talking about and it's pissing me off too much, that's it.
I'm drop it.
And Pixel Bit G says, I've played Halo on Legendary many times by myself.
So there you go.
Difficulty in video games is not something that I typically balk away from, but just I recognize that it wasn't just a skill thing. It was like a how I'm playing thing. I need to play the game differently in this mode to be able to get past it. And there are certain things that I need to learn how to do to be able to do it effectively.
Speaking of Pixelbit G, shout out to the great Pixelbit G who gave away 5 memberships. Shout out to you, good sir. I appreciate you for doing that. And by the way, we got Timper21, we got the great Don Otaku, we got Rodimus J, or Rodimus J, I should say. We got Cesar, and we got Derek Johnson, all having access to the membership. So shout out to Mr. Pixelbit G. Thank you so much for your support. Thank and if you got one of those things, one of those memberships, please thank the man. He's out here being supportive. We appreciate him. Sith Lord, $2 super chat. He says we need Mr. Everborn Saga in Chicago at C2E2, sir.
C2E2, yeah.
Now, is there a chance that that's gonna happen? Time will tell.
I mean, I've signed up for the forums. I just got to make sure it's gonna like make sense with the hotels and the shipping rates to send the stuff there. So
cool.
We'll work out the logistic. Like I said, we want to take the thing around the country. So we're definitely traveling. We're definitely doing Florida. We're definitely doing New Jersey, and we're gonna see what other shows we can get in. If they let us into San Diego, which is like a whole. It's like a whole cabal where you got to know somebody that knows somebody to get in.
Yep.
But we will go to San Diego, so we're trying to travel the country with this thing. So if C2E2 makes sense, we will 1000% do it.
Fantastic. We got the brother Floodzilla. He's here with a $2 super chat. He says, shout out to Everborn. Can't wait for the comic, sir. I guess he's still waiting for his.
Flood, yes. His stuff
and
got
then
off yesterday.
Fantastic. And then we have the great BT Maverick 707 with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. He says, remember all the CMA crap, all that FTC crap, all the lying, crying, flying, dance moves, Ryan BS that we had to dredge through all just to get here. Isn't it sweet, boys? Day one in Game Pass, it's finally here. Shout out to you, sir. He's taking a sigh of relief. He's breathing right now. He's like, yeah, here we are. All right. Shout out to you. And of course, great Aaron. Aaron's in the spot. He says, good morning, good afternoon, good morning, gentlemen. Damn, it's been a while. I hope y'all are doing fine, growing your success across all your ventures in life. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Great human being Aaron is. You know, it's always good to chat with you, sir. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. So, okay.
One thing.
Yeah.
One thing. Pixelbit G in the chat says he feels like Infinite was harder than other Halos on Legendary. Maybe his age.
Okay.
You know what? I think you are right, because Infinite might be the only Halo that I have not done on Legendary.
In the later levels, like Legendary is painful. Like in the beginning, not
earlier
so much,
levels, when that dude starts chasing you, you know, the one where you got to kind of run around,
around the circle. Yes.
Like, that was rough. I gave up trying to do it on Legendary after that one. So, but again, I am getting older, so it could. Yeah,
it could be the hand-eye coordination. It could be that.
I still think that Halo 2 is probably the most insane Halo regarding that, but that's only because like those Halo 2 snipers were ridiculous.
They were no joke.
Those were. I do recall. But outside of that, yeah, I think Infinite was probably the hardest one.
All right. So I will refrain from further COD talk. I think we've put some out there. We're going to talk a bit more about it in the news section about some of the how it's being received and all that. But we'll table some of our thoughts on it further. I'll play some more of it. We'll probably have more COD talk on the show in future. Everborn, I'm sure as you're getting into it as well, we will revisit it. I want us to get into metaphor chat before we get to some of the news stories. But before we do, let me quickly diverge us and let me talk a bit about a game that I have been playing as well. I've been playing this for some time, and as y'all know me, I tend to have my game that I play, the big game that I'm playing, and obviously COD is the big game that everybody's playing right now. But I also always tend to have like a small little game that I enjoy from time to time in the background that I'm like, hey, whenever I need a bit of a palate cleanser, if you will, this is my go-to. And I've been playing this for some weeks now. I think I even shared it on one of the shows sometime, but I must give it its full due here. I did receive a code for it. I received the code via Keymailer from Retroware, and the game I'm talking about is the game with the most pause-worthy title out there. It's a game called Iron Meat. Yes, right, ladies and gentlemen, it is called Iron Meat. And every time I say it, I feel like somebody's behind me going, pause. But anyway, what is Iron Meat? I don't know if you've seen this, Everborn. It is literally.
I have it.
You have not. The tagline of Iron Meat is a run and gun arcade shooter. It's a post-apocalyptic world where you're running around and there's this organism called meat that is able to co-opt both organic and inorganic matter, so metal and humans, and it's like morphing them into this weird cacophony of monsters and stuff like that. But long story short, elevated pitch, it is a Contra-like. And I say that in the best way possible. We know our audience here. Chances are you've played Contra before. This is a Contra-like in the best way possible. As you can see, it's a side scroller. You go from left to right. You're paying attention to all the various patterns and the monsters that are coming at you, and the type of weapons they're holding, and how they shoot. And you got to shoot the top, you got to shoot the bottom, you got to, that stuff. There's constantly new power-ups coming for you, provided that you're able to bypass all the various bullets that coming at your head. It is super fun. I'll be honest, at first I was like, oh, it's a Contra, like, it's cute. But I find myself playing this far more than I expected myself to play it. I'm the kind of kid back in the day that used to play a lot of Contra. So, and let's not even mix words about it. There are many Contra likes in this environment these days, but I think this is one of the better ones. I really, really enjoyed it. I find myself using this as a palate cleanser and going, I'll play a few minutes of this while I'm out and about or whatever, right? And then I end up playing it for like 3-4 hours and just kind of keep going up. I've really been enjoying my time with it. Lots of different characters. I love the various power-ups. One of the guys kind of looks like the Master Chief. I don't know if they did that, if that was just a coincidence or on purpose, but it really kind of looks like the Master Chief when I'm playing this. So sometimes I like to use that character. I really am having a good time with it. I'm pretty sure it's like pretty cost effective, like less than $20. It's on everything, on Steam, obviously, on PlayStation, on Xbox, on Epic Game Store, and even on the Nintendo Switch. So it is everywhere. It is awesome. I really enjoyed it. I think more people should play it. It doesn't take too much complexity. You understand exactly what you're getting with it, but I'm liking the creativity they're putting on display. So I co-sign. This is a game called Iron Meat, and I will say pause every time I say that. And I think more people should try it out. It's pretty fun. So salute to Retroware and Keymailer for providing the code. I've been playing it for far too long. I should have mentioned this some weeks ago. I've been playing it for some time now, but my bad on that part. I hope more people get a chance to check it out. Iron Meat, Mr. Everborn Saga. I think you should play this as well. As a fan of that old school that I know you are, I think this one calls to the best of those old school type games, and more people should be playing this kind of stuff. I feel like it's a bringing back to life almost the Plucky Squire kind of style, where reminding you of that old school, but in a good way, in the best kind of way, So the only thing I like about this that I even like more than Contra is Contra, one hit, you're dead and you're done. This has a bunch of lives, so you can actually still accomplish the task at hand. You don't have to restart your game every time you die. Yeah, you were gonna say, Everborn.
No. I got a bunch of stuff like this to talk about whenever we get to me, because there's another 2 games. One that's like this, another 2D game that I want to talk about.
So you know what? Let's get to that right now. What games have you been playing, good sir?
Oh boy, where do I start? All right, so let's go back to. There's a new G.I. Joe game that came out.
Yeah.
3D beat 'em up. And it has like.
What's it called? G.I. Joe Wrath of something or other, or is it Real American? What's it called?
Hold on, let me tell you right now. Go to my library.
I thought it was Wrath of like something. I forget. Wrath of Cobra.
Hold on. Let me.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. G.I. Joe Wrath of Cobra. That's what I think it is. Yeah.
Okay.
2D side, the 2D. Almost.
Yes, Wrath of Cobra. That's
Wrath
it.
of Cobra. Okay. Cool. So yes.
So been playing that. Let's just say it is no Shredder's Revenge.
Oh, that is sadness, sir. Sadness.
Yeah, it's just, and I love what they're doing. It's very Saturday morning cartoony, but like the combo system just feels a little bit too basic. Like I love the art style, like I love but like it just feels like it needed a little bit more time in the oven. And they're doing like these cheesy animations, but they really work, right? Okay. Like the animations are super cheesy, but they feel like cheap 80s, like a cheap 80s cartoon.
So that's basically what you're saying is that they did that on purpose and it's working.
Yes. Yes,
is that in a
so
bad
the
way?
animations work.
Okay.
The graphics for what it's trying to do and what it's trying to evoke works, but it just it doesn't have that what the French call a certain I don't know what.
Je
Right?
ne sais quoi.
Yes. So like I wish it was better, but it's not. But I think it's like super cheap because I don't remember paying. I remember
It
paying
looks
less
fun.
than $10 for it. But it's not. It does look fun, but when you play it, like you're gonna expect it to react to you in a certain way, and I don't think that it does, and a lot of the actions that you do don't feel right. I think Pixelbit G said it in the chat, like it's just okay. It's not
okay.
It's not touching.
It's not excellent.
Touching greatness. Now again, John Wolf in the chat says, "Is it worth it?" And I will say, if you can get it for under $10, yes. I would not pay more than $10 for this game.
Okay.
Now, if it was like a Streets of Rage 4 or Shredder's Revenge, I would pay $20, $30 for that. This, I'm saying, I would not pay more than $10 for, because it's fun to play for a few minutes. So then there's that. Then Night Slashers remake.
Night
you are
Slashers
frozen.
Remake. Interesting.
By the way.
Am I? Okay.
Then
we can
hear you. But
you can hear me, but you can't see me. Okay. Y'all keep talking. I will be right back.
Okay. So Night Slashers remake. That's another interesting one. I don't know if you remember Night Slashers. It has a very Neo Geo vibe. Like it feels like you're playing. Oh, he's just gone. Chat, let me know if you can still hear me at least.
I think we should be good. Just keep going.
Okay. Yeah. So Night Slashers remake has a very Neo Geo vibe. It's pretty fun. The characters like are very like 80s, 90s dude bro. Even the female character is a little thick in the shoulders. Like it's just that kind of like 80s metal thing. So
I have returned. Can you see Ender and hear me now?
We can see you, yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
All
Apologies.
Right. Your screen share's on, but
I know, but I will put it back. Something weird happened there. It just kind of blipped on me. Anyway, my bad. Continue.
Then I was talking about Night Slashers remake.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if you can get that on the screen.
I'm gonna look for it right now.
But now the animation art style there is very interesting because it looks like they're using spine animation instead of like pixel art. And so I don't know how to feel about it as a remake.
Wow. Hold up. Let me. I just saw this thing. Let me put this thing on the screen. Graphically, it looks beautiful. Like it's not bad.
Yeah, it's because of the animation tool that they're using.
Yeah,
but again,
it looks like it's popping off the screen a little bit. It's quite interesting.
It's the tool. We actually use the same tool for the Unity Ariel's Adventure game, but I don't know. I don't know that it works in the same way that a Streets of Rage 4 works. Not that this is trying to be Streets of Rage 4 in any way, but it's fine. But
it has this comic book almost like comic book. You can see the little.
I feel like it looks too good in a way that almost cheapens it. If
detrimentally good.
Yeah,
too good.
It's like Uncanny Valley for like 2D animation. But again, if you're into this kind of game, which I am, again, okay.
What's up?
No, I thought you were frozen again because your video stream is chopping up.
Are we having issues? Apologies. Okay.
Yeah. Look up spine, and like a lot of games use this stuff. It is a way to I don't know if you remember like Flash animation back in the day.
Yeah, of course.
It's
Macromedia Flash. Yeah.
Right. So it's a newer version of that runs real time. So you don't actually have to make a sprite sheet. You just set up your bones, you attach images to the bones, which are the body parts, and then you lock your keyframes, and then software in real time will move the bones, which have images attached to them, which are body parts. It'll move it to the keyframes, and you can change a different image for a different keyframe, so it gives you the look of an animation. So when you see his arm and legs move back and forth, they're actually moving back and forth.
Interesting.
It's a very interesting way of doing things without, and it's very like lightweight as well. So like you don't have to take up as many textures as you would with a standard sprite sheet animation, and you can do a lot of interesting things that you would have. It makes things faster, but it also can give you a 3D effect. Like you can make things like bulge and grow and shake and have different effects on them.
Hey yo,
relax. So that's what they're using here. But to me, there's just something special about using sprite sheets and hand-drawn animation that you don't really have here. So again, you do get that 3D effect even though it's 2D, and that's just because of the spine software. But again, it is going to give you Neo Geo vibes, and it is, I would say, a little bit more fun than the what do you call it game, the G.I. Joe game we just talked about, but still it's not touching greatness, right? Like if
good.
The other one was a 6, this would, or 6.5, this would be a 7, 7.5.
Okay.
Good, not great. Next thing. Remember, I think we saw this at an Xbox showcase, but it was a game called Windblown.
Yes.
This one is very interesting because it's on sale right now for $20 in early access. After November 5th, I think it goes up to 25. So I played this one also. It's very interesting. I did not realize it was a roguelike until I actually got into it. But when you watch the fully animated trailer, you should realize that. Art style, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It's like this mixture of traditional 3D and cell shading that really works.
Yeah.
I think the combat works very
colorful.
well.
Beautifully colorful.
Yeah. Like you feel the hits. You feel the combat loop is great. One thing that I still am not used to is that dash, because it serves as a jump, and it kind of auto places you on the whatever platform in the direction you're going. So like you're not aiming to jump, you just face your character in a direction and press the jump, and they'll automatically go to the nearest platform, and that doubles as your dash as well. And to me, like, it works.
That's cool. Like, you know, when you see when you go behind something, it gives you a huge bump. That's pretty cool. I like that. That's a cool idea.
Yeah. But again, I don't know how I feel about that dash. It is very weird. I wish I could just kind of jump around, but they don't let you do that. And again, the combat feels very good, and just with the art style and the way power-ups work and things like that, to me, this is doing more of what I wanted from Towerborn. Again, two very different kinds of games.
It does have a Towerborn kind of energy to it.
Yes, it does.
I can see it. Yeah.
This seems like it's multiplayer. I didn't see any options to go multiplayer, but it does seem like it would work well on a multiplayer. But again, it is the world also feels randomly generated.
In a bad way or a good way?
No. In a good way. I think it works. Again, I like all the power-ups. It is a roguelike through and through.
Wow. Don Otaku's in the chat with some hyperball. He says, Windblown may surpass Hades for me.
Listen.
That is some big shoes,
might not
bro.
be wrong, because this is early access. If they just tweak a few slight things, like the way getting back into the game after dying doesn't feel like you lost anything in a way that I do feel that way in Hades, and I know Hades did it better than a lot of other games like a Returnal.
Have you played
or whatever.
Hades 2, by the way?
I bought it. I have not played it yet.
You should try it. It's more of the same, but they've done a lot of tweaking to that formula. You might like that one better than the first, but yeah, continue.
It's on my list to check out, but like I like the way they offer you these different power-ups, and then you can get the memory so you can pick which. Again, this is typical roguelite stuff, but like like I really found it interesting, and it was one of those things where it was like, let me turn this off because I like it too much, which is if you're gonna try to be one of those endless games, because I saw it was randomly generating stuff, and I'm like, I really like this combat loop, I'm getting used to it, but you're randomly generating stuff. You want me to play this forever, don't you? And I don't have time for that. So I definitely recommend it, like especially if you can get it for the 20 before the sale goes off.
Okay.
Like
I
if
will
you're
definitely
into
be
roguelite,
putting this on the list. Yeah, I'll be putting on this list. Yeah.
The art style is fun, the combat feels punchy. I think they overly rely on the dash a little bit, but it's early access, so hopefully they can take that as some feedback. But I do.
Aaron is asking a pertinent question. He's asking, did Everborn level yet?
What's that?
He's asking, did you beat the boss after the second level yet?
No, I beat the first boss. I'm at the start of the second section of the map or whatever.
I feel like I'm missing something with this game. Like I've heard the name, but
no,
I haven't
you
really
saw
given
the
it
trailer.
a chance.
We wondered what it was. It was a very
it looks
like
good.
cool trailer, like people dying. So
Yeah.
But again, and I see what John Wolf is saying. He doesn't like early access. I'm typically with you. I usually get the early access stuff because it's cheaper, and then I'll try it and then put it down until it comes out.
Until it's ready.
That's
for
the same
1.0.
thing I did with the Ori guy's new game, No Rest for the Wicked. Like I got it. I tried it. It seems like it'll be interesting. I'm not touching it until it's 1.0.
Until it's ready.
And I think that's what's going to happen here. It's probably also going to happen with Towerborn, because Towerborn is fine, but I think it has a lot more potential than at least where it started. So that's Windblown, and now we can get to the two like main contenders.
Yeah. I think I'll let Lucius crack the nut on this one. Pause. I suspect you want to talk Metaphor, or do you have another one that you want to go before we go?
Don't forget Sonic though, because I got to talk about that. But we can come back.
Yeah, we'll let you see. I'll let you talk about Sonic, and then you can let me talk about Batman Arkham Shadows. We'll do that because no one cares about Sonic and no one cares about Arkham Shadows.
Well, a million people care about Sonic, sir. I didn't hear no million for Arkham, whatever on VR.
Okay. But you know what? Let me let Lucius go as far as Metaphor. Like I said, I've played the demo. You are what, 6 hours in Everborn? 6
or
hours
8 hours, something like that.
Okay.
Between the demo and the main game, but but you pick up where you left off in the demo. So but I'll leave it to Lucius because obviously he has way more experience than me. Suffice to say
Lucius.
that I again, in 6 or 8 hours, like I have not been this interested in a turn-based game since the early 2000s. I'm just gonna be honest, like, because Baldur's Gate 3 just didn't do it for me. Again, very different kind of games, but Baldur's Gate was just too slow. This has a very good way of making the battles feel very fast-paced and intense while still being turn-based. I just think just everything they do and the pacing of the story, at least in the first opening hours, just feels like I want to play more and more and more and more. And it was only because I was so looking forward to Sonic and wanted to try these other indie games that I put it down, but I didn't really want to. And I suspect that is why I'm grazing on the other games, because my heart is still with Metaphor. So I feel like I kind of want to go back with that. So I'm rushing through the other games. But like, I think it's something fantastic. And yes, it is probably Persona 5, but medieval, which is fine because that's my bag. But I do think they've done a lot more to hook you in the beginning than Persona tries to. So for me, top marks. But again, this is rose colored, only 8-9 hours into it. I'll let Lucius give a more definitive.
Go for it, sir. Lucius, I know you beat the game. You're 100+ hours into the game. Give us your top level. And are we going to get a review from you, sir? I'm waiting for that review. What's good?
So you will be getting a review from me, but unfortunately, or fortunately, the way that we decided to do the metaphor review, because it's just such a big game, is to do a Famitsu style
multiple
review,
users,
which multiple users
reviewers.
have, like a conglomerate of like understanding of, oh, what is this game about, X, Y, and Z, because it's very easy to kind of miss experiences in a big game like this. So I was about 110 hours in when I beat the game. You can get most of the achievements within the first playthrough. However, there is
and you played it on Xbox?
Yes, and I played it on Xbox primarily. I also switched every now and then to my GPD Win Mini, so I could play on the handheld. And
how well does it play on that, by the way?
It depends. In cities, it can be a little rough, but you're not really doing much in cities outside of running around. And in dungeons, it tends to be pretty fine. It's somewhere between 45 to 60 frames per second inside of the dungeons, I find, and that's when I'm running it at 18 watts. So if you're running this at like 25 watts or something like that, you'd probably get like around 60 FPS inside of the dungeons, which is where it really matters. There's so much that I want to talk about this game, but I don't want to accidentally reveal anything. So from a 30,000 foot view, this is a story about prejudice, racism, systematic oppression, and how people who grow up in a society like that, what their minds come to conclusions. Like it's very easy to believe that certain people are destined to be in power when they've always been in power, right? And it's very easy to think that certain people are just naturally good at that one thing, in comparison to a cultural thing that emphasizes a studying of that thing, so that way it just happens that everybody who comes from that culture happens to be good at that thing. But it's just a cultural thing, and where people learn and thrive to try to get something. The story emulates a lot of things that we have inside of our real life, and it does an incredibly good job at describing a lot of those things, exploring those ideas without ham-fistingly delivering it to the audience.
Let me ask you a question. This is a very important kind of point that you brought up, and I said this in a DM when you brought this up a couple of weeks back, but like so many people were talking at the time, I don't know if you either responded or you missed it. But this was actually, I'm glad you brought it up, because it's a conversation that I wanted to have with you. And so when we talk about the core themes of what Metaphor is trying to do, and how it seems to do a better job at it without feeling preachy. What I said at the time was, I really wonder why the usual sort of, well, I know why, this is not wondering, but why the usual grifters that talk about this stuff didn't have a problem here, and they didn't call, this game was not called woke by the usual suspects. And even though it tackled this subject matter, and I've heard a lot that even when it was brought up, why don't you bring this up? And they say this is done the right way. But I really have to wonder if that is rooted in some form of anti-blackness, because they are touching those themes without having a dark face say those things.
That's part of those conversations.
Right?
That's right.
And so people can empathize more when they see a waifu or a fair-skinned person going through those things, juxtaposed to seeing an actual dark face be the ones that are persecuted. Because if this game like actually was like on the nose like that, and it was the dark people that were, what do you call it? People would have called it woke, right? This game, and again, I'm very early on, but when I look at the small console of people in the kingdom in the royal house, right, around the king, when I look at the main characters that you've picked up so far, like obviously Grius is somebody you meet in the very beginning, and then I can't remember the other guy's name. He's the noble who's that thing happened with his village. Yes, right? Like how many people in positions of power in this game in lead roles are Black people, right? Okay, so sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, continue. I want you to finish.
So again, and I see Dorian Gray in the chat. It's not called woke because it doesn't throw it in your face. And my question, and this is not towards Dorian Gray or anyone, this is a genuine question because I want to have this conversation, is actually putting the race in your if the race of the affected parties in the story they're trying to tell are Black, brown, whatever, is that how we constitute putting it in your face? Because I would argue this absolutely does put the issue in your face and doesn't shy around.
It just does it with lighter skin color,
doing it fair-skinned people, and so it's acceptable. And to me, if that's what we're saying, if you want to tell these kind of stories and be preachy, you just have to do it with fair skin. So that's the question, think, and I don't know the answer to that, and that's
okay. So I'll answer that in a couple stages. The first stage is I will answer it generally, and generally I believe what you are saying is correct. That a lot of people have a problem when the person who is telling you these things has a darker complexion, right? It's the same reason why you may end up getting characters that look like Slow-Mo, but you ain't never gonna get characters like that look like me. All right.
Hey now, so for the record, we don't know what Slow-Mo or you look like. But
right. Slow-Mo looks like Chris Brown, and I look like.
Oh wow! You look like who? Like who?
Akon. I'm not as dark as Akon, but you know that just kind of gives you a.
Well done. Good reference points. Continue.
Slow-Mo's not here, so I'm not going to talk about he's the representative for all the light-skinned people. But we'll keep going.
But I will say that generally what you are speaking about is true, right?
Yeah.
For Metaphor does things so incredibly well. It's not just about the subtlety in which it explores its themes, but it's about how holistic it explores those themes. Every aspect of the story feeds back into itself. To give you an example, the book that you are carrying around in the story, this is very early on, you play this in the prelude, this is not a main game spoiler, right? The book is called Utopia.
Sorry, Lucius. Pixel, a lot of folks are not ready for that conversation.
Let me at least finish.
I just put it in the chat because those are some bars.
No, it's all you. It's all you. I just want to
let me finish. All right. So
keep going. Yes.
It does it extremely well, but every single aspect of the game feeds back into what it's teaching you, right?
Okay.
here's an example. The book that you carry around, this very early on, you carry on this book called Utopia. Inside of it, it explores the idea of what a utopia world would kind of look like, right? And the world that it kind of describes is very much like a world like ours, right? And the person that you interact with inside of what is called academia, the person who like helps you get all your powers or whatever, his name is Moore. He represents Thomas More, the writer of the book Utopia that came out in real life. The concept of utopia that we have in this modern day comes from the book Utopia, which the writer Thomas More took from two Greek letters that mean no and place, which means that it's a place that does not exist. So this game is exploring the idea of systematic oppression. How do you escape that inside of a world where, how do you create your own utopia? How do you explore those themes in a world that is rejecting people's differences and trying to make it as the people in power are constantly engaging inside of like their own sin, and that once again feeds back into the way that the game is teaching you this via the art. The art style in this entire game is based off of a Renaissance artist named Hieronymus Bosch. A vast majority of the enemies are references to paintings that Hieronymus Bosch made. Hieronymus Bosch specifically created paintings about the human experience and the repercussions of sin, of essentially allowing yourself to fulfill your worst desires. As you go through this game, every single aspect, every character, everything feeds back into the story that they're telling you from a literary standpoint, from an artistic standpoint, the way that the game works, the combat, all of it. It all flows back into the story that they're trying to tell you. When we speak about ludonarrative dissonance, where inside of a game where it's telling you violence is bad while also getting you to stab people in the most violent way possible, I'm looking at
Uncharted,
you,
basically, or
I'm
Last of Us, or
talking
Tomb
about
Raider, or
right?
all that.
Like,
Yes,
but in those situations of ludonarrative dissonance, the reason why people speak about that is because the main story element is violence is bad, and the entire gaming mechanic is violence inside of that video game. So it just doesn't make sense to the story that you're telling. When I'm telling you that every aspect of this game feeds back into the story that it's telling, nothing is wasted. And that is part one as to what I would push back on that thing. Part two, and this is, let's get back into the kind of the real world here. I don't want to be in a situation where every time that we want to explore an idea of
yep, always as the oppressed. Yeah, of course. Man, I'm sorry. Paris is having a whole different conversation, man. Damn. It's all good. We'll get there. He is having a different conversation. I'm sorry.
Okay. Can you check the YouTube stream, like see if what you see there?
Okay, I am back. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear. We could always hear you. So
Okay.
Whether the chat can hear.
Chat, can you
Okay.
guys hear me? Oh, we hear y'all again. It says, thank you. We may have to go back to StreamYard, man. There might be a problem. All right.
Wait a
continue.
minute. Lucius,
Yeah.
can you say something?
Yes.
All right. So
Okay, they hear us now.
All right.
Dorian Gray
What
says
was
they
the
can't
last
hear
thing that you
Everborn.
chat? When was the last thing that you guys actually heard?
Loud
me
and
say?
clear. Fantastic. Okay.
Because
All right, perfect. Yeah, chat. Where's the last place that you heard Lucius talk about this stuff? Because I did have a question, and maybe you can answer this when you explain it again. So Lucius, my question is: even if everything is done right here, let's say, and I agree with you that like
I
not
don't.
every
Once again, I like. Let me just say the last point. I don't want every single time that someone is exploring the idea of systematic racism, prejudice, or anything like that, that we automatically have to put Black people in the bottom foot, have to put them in the position as the oppressed, because literally playing through this game has opened my eyes in some capacities to the way that people automatically put others inside of positions, and how people put themselves into positions that may not be helpful for themselves. So like so outside of the fact that Metaphor is doing it well, I also don't want to, every single time that we explore an idea of prejudice or anything else, that Black people have to be in that position of prejudice for us to be able to see that as realistic.
Real quick, Lucius, because you bring this point up specifically, and we had a similar conversation during the whole Final Fantasy with Yoshi P kind of conversation, right? Where we were able to understand, and I think Everborn, you were a part of that conversation as well, where we were able to understand that probably the reason why he was reluctant to put Black faces in the mix is because of exactly what you're describing, which is you end up always putting them underfoot, and that kind of negates the message. Like, is there a world where those faces could have just been peppered through the character roster, and not necessarily like, regulate them to either the oppressed or the oppressors, just kind of a multicultural society? Would that ruin the message? I guess
I think this is where the trap kind of falls in, because the moment that you're just like, oh well, I don't want to like not include certain people or whatever, I want to get the best actors and however they look like, yada yada. I think that the issue then becomes what show you're doing. Like, for example, I love House of Dragons, that has plenty of Black people throughout different
exactly like that. That's
right?
Like that. Yes, just a mix. Yeah.
And I would also say I really like, despite how slow of a pace that it is, I do enjoy Rings of Power, or at least the first season, and I'm only like maybe one episode or two into the second.
I'm a few episodes
season.
in on the second.
Yeah,
it's still pretty good. I like it. Yeah.
But one of the biggest problems that people push back on those things is because, oh, those are quote unquote medieval times, whatever, and Black people didn't exist. And it's just like, well, Black people did exist during those times, right? Like they were present during those things. There are historical documents that show it. Just because your average peasant never saw a Black person in their lives doesn't mean that Black people weren't inside of Europe. But whatever, right? I think that, and for somebody who may be a part of a culture that isn't super aware of that stuff, maybe when they hear, oh, Black people weren't inside of Europe, they take that as like oh yeah, they weren't. And rather than actually doing the history of like, actually they were. Like there's actually multiple accounts of Black people being inside of Europe before the 1700s or whatever. Like, I don't understand why you would believe this. But I don't like, with the Yoshi P thing is stupid. With Metaphor, I think that despite the fact that the main characters are lighter skinned, there are still darker skinned people inside of the world. They have significant impact on how the world works, and I think that one of them being what this game calls followers, which are kind of companions, but that doesn't mean that they'll necessarily be inside of your party. There's a couple followers that are darker skin, and they are going through every single person that you interact with is going through some sort of like problem that is fundamentally rooted into the problems that the world has. Not our world, their world. Their world just happens to mimic a lot of the same problems that we have inside of our world. It's just that they strip a lot of the problems that would exist specifically for one race, but that problem is now split between a bunch of different races, right? So it's like now it's not just black and brown people who are dealing with the prejudice of the world, because there are 9 tribes. Essentially, like 5 of those 9 tribes are being treated like shit. So,
okay, so a couple of things. All that's well and good. I'm really, for me anyway, like, not to take anything away from the game, because I do think the game is expertly done, and I agree with those things that you said. but I still don't know that we're getting to the heart of would people accept this story if you had darker people in the lead positions, right? If it is told, if would the story be called woke if the main character was a black person, or one of the main characters was a black person, or one of the main plot points of people that join your party were a black person? Or would they realize how woke the game was only if the dark skin was there?
I would say that you would still.
And this is not a fault on the game itself.
No,
this is, I'm talking about people's perception of the game. Yeah. And I will say that while also saying, I have said many a times, I am over all black media being about the struggle.
No, yeah, of course.
But at the same time, I just find it interesting that the anti-woke mob didn't jump on this, and I knew they wouldn't, because there are no clear black faces to point to.
So I will say that there are some pretty black faces near the end of the game, but like, once again, you have to be like 40 plus hours.
Yeah, but those people don't be playing games, so they probably
don't really be playing.
They didn't get that far.
But what I will say, I'll say 2 things. One, if it was the same developer, if it was Atlas, and how Atlas does things, and they have like a subtlety in the it's like the way that Atlas has always done things. The message of the story is both brazen, in your face, and also incredibly subtle, where everything's just kind of interwoven into the story. So if it was Atlas and the characters that were there, let's just say like one of the main 3-4 characters had dark skin, I don't think a vast majority of people would care, because of just how well this is done. And I will also say, I have never played a Western game that has ever done subtlety well when it comes to persecution, racism, any of that shit. Maybe it's because
it's like the racist people are always the most, like,
mustache twirly,
disgustingly racist, like,
or it's
where
just
it's like normal racism doesn't really work the way they showed it in the movies.
And the thing is that like Metaphor explores all facets of racism, everything from people just not wanting to interact with you because of who you are, to people literally tripling the price of things because of the tribe that you come from, right? So like you're getting the full gamut of racism throughout the entire game. But I just think that the way that Western developers tell stories is too ham-fisted, and when you are telling a story that is going to be that contentious and that like connected to people's emotions, you need to do it in a way that's done well. And I can't point to one Western developer that has ever done any of these stories well, outside of maybe one, but I would say that it wasn't the most subtle story. Mafia 3. Mafia
true.
3 did a fantastic job at exploring all of those things, but it was not very subtle. And a lot of people attacked it because in a Mafia game, they wanted it to be about like Italian mafioso, yada, yada. That's what they were used to. And for it to switch to a different type of mafia, which there's all sorts of mafias all over the world, people reacted negatively to that. Was that because of Black?
In hindsight, that game is still amazing. It holds up. It's
Mafia 3 is incredible when it comes to that sort of storytelling. But I think that that's the only thing that I can literally think to say, hey, these developers are doing something in a way that like actually done very well, rather than just this is kind of just a culture war, left wing, whatever. And I can tell that that's what it is, and it's being thrown in my face. And this is as somebody who like kind of agrees with a lot of those left wing things, I can't think of one game that does it well. That's on the Western side.
I mean, another piece of it, and this is just this is again the question I always ask. I always come back to this question: is do you want to be right or do you want to make things right? And so the question is, the people that need to learn the lessons that a game like Metaphor or Mafia or whatever you said, the people that need to learn the lessons that those are trying to teach, if you turn them off at the outset, then you're really just preaching to the people that already agree with you. Is there a benefit of a story being told in a way that they will not realize they're learning a lesson until it is imparted on them of their own thinking, right? So I've
already addressed this. I've already told you that we'll get more games with people looking like Slow-Mo Backslap than we will ever get games with people looking like me. They're trying to change Jon Stewart from the dark chocolate man that he is into somebody who looks like Chris Brown with green eyes. Now, I think that guy's a good actor, but you know,
I mean, I'm not on that train. I watched Rebel Ridge. He's not like
the man's a good actor.
I'm not saying. I literally just said that he's a fantastic actor. But
no, I didn't say it. It's nothing to do with acting. Like,
you know why I'm laughing? I'm laughing because he's got that black man represented. I appreciate it, sir. Keep it going.
Like you're like, if he is not like darkness,
if he's
where
not chocolate,
all you can see is his
all I'm saying is that
his eyes when the lights go off. Like he's not as light as you guys are making him out.
We used to be able to have Wesley Snipes. We ain't getting brothers like that anymore. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Right.
I love this conversation.
Mahershala Ali is getting all the money, and before, God rest his soul, Chadwick Boseman, he was getting all the stuff. You know, like let's not act like dark-skinned people ain't getting work.
Mahershala Ali's Blade may be canceled for Blade.
That is
for Wesley's Blade. Who knows?
The complexion of his skin. It's not like they're gonna do a new Blade with a light-skinned Blade. That's not what that is about. That's because people actually want Wesley Snipes. Why that's
happening. Man. Look, I for one will always stand with my chocolate brother, saying that even within the frame,
I agree. As a
fellow, there's still there's levels.
Listen, as a fellow chocolate brother, I just think that we were overreacting a little bit about the Jon Stewart casting. I think it was a little bit much.
I was proud of it. I think it's great.
I thought I hear you. Once again, great actor. I thought, oh man, that's actually a really good pick. I just saw it as a fantastic opportunity to stab a couple people, just be like, hey, what's going on over
here? Yeah, sure. As long as we're trolling, but like the dark skinned crew was being a little bit too sensitive.
It was a little sensitive. That's true. Yeah.
But again, and we can move on from this topic. I just thought it was a good conversation, and I found it.
No, it is. It is very good. Yeah.
That is listen. We haven't even got to the point of the main character and the prince seem like they got something going on.
Hey, there should be no spoilers, gentlemen.
We
Come on.
won't get into any of that. But what I will say is, even inside of our real life, there's a reason why you know Rosa Parks' name.
Okay.
True.
Do you know why?
Okay.
It's
Please,
not because she
it.
was the only person to stand up against the cops. It's because the NAACP specifically chose her as a light-skinned woman who white people could react well to when that happened. There were two,
and that is a known thing. That is a known thing.
Who were supposed to do this?
I think this is the point. Maybe.
But
John
I am agreeing with your point. I am saying that as much nuance and as much greatness as metaphor is, there is something to the idea of the messenger needs to be approachable to the audience that you're making it for, which is why I've been making all these light-skinned, dark-skinned jokes the entire time.
Right. And
quick question related to that. Do we run the risk of this having to be the way forward in order to make the lessons learned? Meaning, hey, if you want this to actually, as Everborn keeps saying, do you want to be right or do you want? If the
I know what you're gonna say. Okay, go ahead. Out for a second.
You like botted there for a second, but you should be good.
My bad. This thing is weird, man. My connection is solid.
All right,
anyway.
Quickly before you bot again.
Sure. I guess the question is if we know that we're trying to feed the message to the right people, like you're saying, the people who should learn that lesson, do we run the risk of always saying, all right, well, if we want to teach that lesson and teach it correctly, then the face that delivers the message always needs to be an acceptable face?
Well, I want to answer that. And this may seem a little controversial, but yes. And the reason I say that is you or I or Pixel or Lucius do not need to learn that lesson, right?
Sure.
And you and I and Pixel and Lucius have been on record saying we're tired of being stories about the struggle. So it's not to say that you can't put us in stories that have nothing to do with the struggle. But the people who need to learn what the struggle is, like, couch it in a way where they can accept it instead of having them
which means no black faces.
That doesn't mean no black faces. That just means that the primary messenger is a face that the audience. But once again,
agree with.
My thing isn't that it's good or bad. My thing is this is how it's always been, baby. That's why I brought you the example of Rosa Parks, because she was not the only woman to do that day. There was her and a much darker woman, but that much darker woman, you don't even know her name.
Yep.
And the reason why is because nobody picked up those stories. So
right. I would rather us, as Jon Stewart, as the president, as a gruff cop that's dealing with marriage issues, but he's a dog on the job, and he finds he solves crimes, whatever, right? I don't be the person that is still has a chip on my shoulder from whatever oppression, right? Like you can tell that story for the people that need to learn it, but tell it to them in a way that they can accept it. Now, the other
last thing, and then we should move on. We're already at like an hour 50. Keep going.
But this is good. This is what people come here for.
Yeah, of course.
So the other piece of it, and I wanna shout out John Wolfe, to the Rosa Parks point that Lucius made. I think this is the point he had been trying to make the whole time about Concord, which is it's not about the sort of race of the people you put in the game. It is about, like, you have this mission or whatever, that's fine, but like, how about you put cool characters on screen? Who cares what skin tone they are? You put a fat guy on the screen and you're like, well, you should like this because fat people need representation. And it's like, that doesn't work, right? If you want to put this different ethnicity that we haven't seen a lot on the screen, do that. But you also have a job. Your number one job is to entertain. And so how about you make cooler looking characters, and then people will accept the
Is
different.
Everborn Saga fat shaming right now?
Believe it or not, this kind of general topic is a storyline inside of Metaphor.
Oh, look at us! All right, I gotta play more of this game, man. I gotta play more. It just seems too damn. It seems too big in scope in a time where there are too many like 100-hour games that I feel like I need to pump the brakes on it. But more and more as these conversations come about, I feel like this game is far more important and it demands a lot more attention.
What are you talking about? Metaphor or Concord?
Yeah, metaphor. Yeah, I think it demands far more attention. It's good.
But
it's good.
Yeah, like the fat thing that I made was like a joke. What I'm saying is,
of course,
the point is you have to make characters that are appealing. So the fact is they made characters that were not appealing to people. Now, is that the only reason that game didn't do what it was supposed to do? Sure, but I'm just saying to John's point, because I know he got a lot of pushback, it wasn't about anything other than they didn't make cool enough looking characters.
Yeah.
And the characters didn't resonate with people. That's a fact. We can say that it should have resonated with people. We can say that it didn't resonate for the wrong reasons, but they did not resonate with people. And if you wanted to show those characters, maybe you show them in a more idealistic light.
So, not that I want to divert from the conversation, but I know you insist on talking about Sonic versus Shadow. I want you to talk about that. But real quick, let me quick super chat. And this is from the great I Love Coffee, great member of the community that was able to join us on the show last week with a $5 super chat. He says, I'm here to support the best looking black character award coming soon.
Well, we'll show them your t-shirt and we can find it.
Well, hold on. The reason why he brings that up is because we were talking in the Discord that, we want to bring about all these, I was talking about how I liked Horizon and all these other games, and I give it the award for one of the best rendering of black characters. And then he said that in that case there should be an award show, a category at the Keeleys called the best looking black character award, just so PlayStation can win some. So shout out to you, sir. I'm looking forward to the day when Keeley comes out and says the best looking black character award. I doubt that's gonna ever happen, but it is what it is. But yes, shout out to you. Appreciate you for being here. Everborn Saga, not to move on from this conversation, because I think it is very important and it will come back around as we.
Well, let me tie these two conversations together.
Yes, and then we'll let Everborn regale us, put us to sleep with talks of Sonic.
Sega has had one of the best years that it's had in multiple decades, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I don't agree. Yeah, I don't disagree.
Underneath its publishing arm, you have Atlas doing fantastic work with Persona 3R releasing at the beginning of this year. You have the Unicorn Overlord being published by Atlas, and you also have Metaphor ReFantazio also underneath Atlas. So Atlas has 3 bangers underneath it by itself. Then you have RGG, who released multiple games over the past 18 months, but just in this past since January, released Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, which once again was received very well from all the Yakuza fans, by non-Yakuza fans. Like, it was a huge game. And now you have Sonic Team also doing incredibly well with this new Sonic game.
Despite the haters.
And I want to point out that every single one of these games sold over 1 million copies, with a vast majority of them selling 1 million copies within the first week, and 2 of them selling 1 million copies within the first day. Sega's cooking.
I would go as far as to say Sega has not, like, this run needs to be studied. This is like the run that Capcom went on for a few years. This is the best Sega has been since they became a third-party publisher, I would argue.
So speak on it, sir.
I would challenge anyone to
give us your experience on Sonic versus Shadows. Like, how are you feeling about it? Yeah.
Here's a
Have you
common.
played the DLC, the deluxe edition? I know you were talking big about
No.
the
That
whole,
doesn't come out until after the
doesn't come
movie
out
comes
yet.
out because it's a
Oh, okay,
movie
okay,
pack.
okay.
They
Okay,
do give you
okay.
some skins that you can get right now, and you got like 3
Mhm.
days early access, which I
Okay.
could not take advantage of because I was so busy, even though I had the deluxe edition. So I
Mhm.
didn't get to play it until.
So you bought it and didn't get any of the benefits from it?
Exactly. But I will in
Mhm.
December after the movie comes out because there are actually
Okay.
extra levels from the movie that you get to play with Keanu
Cool.
Reeves voicing Shadow. Now, some common misconceptions about this game. A lot of people think that it is a remake. In a sense, it is, but it is also not. Because what they did, the game in and of itself is actually a launcher. So you can launch into the traditional Sonic Generations game from 2013 that was recently added to FPS Boost. I think it's
So
2021.
they just threw it in?
Yeah, because
does it have some kind of collective, some kind of thread to the storyline of Shadow?
Well, this is what Shadow was doing during the events of Sonic
during the same
Generations.
time. Okay,
right?
I understand. Okay.
And so it literally is its own game with its own completely separate storyline because Shadow was in space when that whole Generations thing happened. And he's dealing with his own thing. And so all of the things you're seeing with Shadow are never before seen things. They're completely new levels, reworked. He has so many sort of new powers, as well as, again, a fully like complete storyline. A lot of people don't know Shadow's story with the tragedy that befalls him, but you will learn that when you watch the movie. But like it's dark if you know Shadow's story. But what I will say is they've done such interesting things with the powers that they've given him, things that you've never seen Sonic do, and they make really fun use of the verticality of these levels. Again, they're boost style levels in the 3D piece of it because something about Generations, you'll know they'll do two versions of a level, like a 2D version of it and then a Sonic Adventures version of it. So this is Shadow, what you're looking at is like a boost Sonic Adventure style level. But if you look at what's happening on screen, they really sort of take advantage of that sort of Speed Force. I know that Speed Force is a Flash thing and not a Sonic thing, but just for people to understand what I'm saying. But in terms of like, they do some really funky, like Doctor Strange kind of
bending the world around you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they do it in real time and it runs really well, even on handheld.
So is this what they were talking about with the PS5 Pro showing off Sonic's real speed? I don't know.
I mean,
rendering all the craziness at the same time.
I played it on the Ally X, and I played it on. I played a little bit on the big boy machine this morning. But like it doesn't slow down. They do like really fun things to keep you on your toes when you're playing a level, to the point where you'll want to play it again because you'll see different paths that you can take, but it's happening so fast that a lot of times you'll miss them. So you want to go back. So it really gives you this incentive to go get the S rank, because depending on the different routes that you take, you can go. The whole point is to try to play a level without slowing down or stopping. And so I really think they've done a lot to take advantage of these new powers that they've given Shadow in fun and interesting ways that you haven't seen in a very long time. And then when you go and play the Generations part of it, that's very fun as well, because again, we did just get the FPS boost, so you were able to get that game at like 60 or 120 or something like that. But now, just with everything kind of smoothed out, it even that part of it feels even better. And if you know what Generations was, they were remixing classic levels. So these are sort of timeless levels that you'll just want to play over and over again. And so when I say it's two games, the Shadow game isn't like, it's not going to give you like 9-10 hours worth of gameplay. And that's why they figured let's include that other game in it. But it is a totally new game, playing as Shadow, where they kind of bolted on generations for the people that missed out on that game, which is kind of regarded as one of the best new era games. So I cannot recommend this enough. I was very surprised to see that it did 1 million on day one. A
lot more Everborn Sagas out there.
Right.
Just saying.
And the synergy that this will have, the fact that they're going to do movie content that to launch with the movie, I think is like fantastic. One thing I noticed, like for the last 3 years straight, and I don't know what kind of like balls they have over there at Sonic team. In 2022, they launched in the same week as Ragnarok. You remember our famous bet. 2023, that's what Frontiers, they launched in the same week as Ragnarok. 2023, they launched the same week or the same day, I think it was the same week as Mario Wonder. And now with Sonic Superstars, and now with the Shadow game, they launched on the same day as COD. Like, you gotta have
they muscling their elbows,
like,
right?
Basketball sized balls to be able to do that. But here's the thing,
and they're doing it.
It's time, right? And again, we know that Sonic Frontier sold somewhere between 3 and 4 million. The last official numbers we got. They said that they were disappointed in the sales of Superstars because, and they blamed Wonders for that. So I don't think we ever got sales for Superstars, but the blue balls is what Eric calls it. Yes, they have gigantic blue balls,
gigantic spiky blue balls. That's what they got.
But this time, they, even though they launched on the same day as COD, they did 1 million on day one. Right, so they're not going to move
by the way,
off of this.
We're talking about this, and how successful their numbers are. I must add, since we are in this mix, I am one not to be outshot, not to belittle or minimize certain things. Myself and Mr. John Wolf had this friendly kind of wager about how Astrobot would do, right? And I will quickly point out, I'll bring it out, that they did say Astrobot hit number 2 on some of the charts they have here. This is a tweet from Matt Piscatella, but as Mr. Wolf will point out, and I'll give him credit for it, as much as it's hit number 2 on the charts, we still don't know the numbers that it has pulled in within the first 2 months. We're still waiting, right? Actually, it's been only 1 month, if I'm not mistaken, right? This is the first month. I want to wait until the second month and see what's what. I said it would sell over 2 million copies, at least in the first 2 months. It still hasn't happened yet, but we haven't seen them, which bodes well on Mr. Wolf, because as much credit as people are giving it in the game of the year and it's on number 2, we still have not heard the PlayStation announce those numbers.
Those sales numbers are in witness protection. It could be that Sony's waiting till it hits a certain figure.
Until a certain hits a certain flash mark. That's why I'm like, let's wait to see.
They're doing the Jay-Z thing where it's like, I'm going to let you diss me now, and I'm not going to say anything till I got an album coming out 2 years from now.
And then I got you back.
Nail in the coffin. However,
he's doing his best. What's he doing? His oh my God, Maguire. I forget the name of the movie. Show me the money. No, this is him saying, show me the numbers. He's gonna be like that for a long time.
I see what Don Otaku said. That's funny. A little bar. So right
let's real quick. $5 super chat from Don Otaku. He says, that's fine and all, but Sonic has been living in Mario's shadow for generations. Only 1 million in a day. We do thrice that in pre-orders over here, baby.
Okay, cool. But why haven't we gotten the Zelda numbers yet, though?
Oh boy, he's talking about Mario. He's talking about Mario. What are you bringing? Why you whataboutism me right now?
Okay, but here's another thing though, like about those Astro numbers. Just for comparison, because this was what you guys were betting against with Mr. John Wolf.
Yes.
If we go back and we look at the 2021 numbers for Ratchet and Clank,
yeah.
that was number 1 in the month that it came out. But it did come out in June, and it didn't have something like EA. But the point is, it did not show up on the yearly charts as well, and it didn't show up in July's numbers because it's the kind of game that it is dictates most people are going to get it at launch, and then they're going to beat it, and they won't still be playing. So this is it'll be interesting to see what it does in general, and that takes nothing away from the game. By all accounts, it's great. I do want to say one thing. This is where I'm gonna have to put the eyebrow up.
Okay.
We've seen a lot of reports saying it's doing better than any non-Mario named platformer in the last decade.
Yep.
And I don't know about that, because we just got are we not counting It Takes Two, which did 10 million? We know it didn't do 10 million.
True. Yeah.
Right? So even the Ori franchise, between the two of them, did 10 million. And that came out in the last decade.
Yeah, but Ori's a different kind of game. Ori's not the same kind of game. I think the Ori's energy is far more Metroidvania than it is platformer. Right? I hear you, but I'm just saying, like, there is.
Sure. Let's take that out.
There is
My point is, we know the Crash Insane trilogy did 10 million. These are all games that came out in the last decade. So when we say it's the best non-Mario thing, to John's point, Sonic did 1 million in the first day.
Yes.
And
See,
these journalists are essentially just hyping up this game, and the numbers may not actually show it, is what you're trying to say. Everborn.
Although
Space Marine is at the bottom of the list because they do not agree all of the numbers there for Space Marine.
This is my point. We all agree that Space Marine is amazing and deserves accolades, but it's notable that it's actually 18 on this list versus Astrobot being on 2. I would love to see the numbers.
And actually, if you want to see the numbers, Focus Entertainment actually announced that I believe they said it sold 5 million.
No. I think it was 3.5 million. I don't think it hit 5 million unless there was another update. Okay. But again, I heard that.
But hold on now. If it sold 3.5 million, that means Astrobot has sold more.
Did
it not?
That.
Based on the list?
Okay. Because, and again,
I'm only in North America.
Oh, this is only North American. Yeah. Physical and digital. And this digital is not even included in this. Digital sales not included. Yeah. So yeah.
Right.
It says it at the bottom. Digital sales not included. So
wait. Not included for what? That's if it has a star next to it. So does Space Marine have a star?
So for example, you're right. So that means that they don't mean by that what they mean. Zelda doesn't have
digital sales, and neither
it doesn't include
NBA 2K.
Space Marine 2. Exactly. Yeah. So the numbers for the placement for Astrobot does include the digital and the physical sales, but not so much for Space Marine.
And also, Space Marine doesn't include digital sales, so that's why you can't really.
You can't. It's not an apples to apples comparison. Yeah. You're right.
Saying, well, we know that Space Marine did 3.5 million, and this is better than that. Yeah, we're tracking physical sales here.
It's not the whole picture. Absolutely, it's not the whole picture. You're absolutely right.
And 4.5 million.
4.5 million, and
and it deserves it. It's a great game. Absolutely.
As it should. Another thing to note is that we know that what did they say? PlayStation sales for digital skewed like 81 versus 19, or was that just
digital to physical? Yeah.
Right. So you know, but again, that might be just the systems. I don't know what their sales split.
Yeah, like from my understanding, like despite I think the Xbox Series and the Series X and S, they're about 50-50, and numbers just came out about PlayStation numbers, and they're like 80-20. Like they have 80% physical PS5s in comparison to digital PS5s. Now that could mean because they didn't make that many digital PS5s.
Yes, there were a lot more. There are a lot more PS5s with discs than there were without at the beginning because you barely could find the digital version. But it's even now more now. But yes,
at least on Xbox, I think it's like over 85% of players on Xbox buy games digitally, and we happen to be on the extreme end, and Nintendo is on the opposite extreme end, where a good amount of their people still buy physical, and I think PlayStation is somewhere in between that.
In the middle.
One other thing to note about that 80-20 digital thing, the physical digital divide was not game sales, it was like hardware sales, right? Like physical, like PS5 with the physical disc versus
there's like 80% physical disc PS5s versus 20% like,
and then that leads to what me and Kay have been saying for the last 4 years, which is we don't think they really wanted to sell the PS5 at $399 at launch. It was just
needed something to say
out, and they wanted something that was somewhere in between, and they took a larger loss on the digital because you couldn't find the digital at launch
at all.
The only time you could begin to find the digital was after they raised the price to $449.
And they revised the hardware. That's when you started seeing more digitals in the market, more freely available. Before, it was just a talking point to kind of be in spitting distance of the Series S, but they weren't really available to be purchased. So that could be exactly why their sales are more lopsided in that way. And actually, to your point, Lucius, that's probably why when you go to Best Buy right now, chances are you'll see more PlayStation physical copies on display than you will Xbox. They stopped selling Xbox physical editions by and large because those numbers reflect it.
Xbox physical. Oh, you're saying the games themselves.
Physical games, yes.
Okay.
Because I'm sure the retailers are looking at the amount of the devices out there, and it's like 80% digital sales on Xbox. So why keep those discs on shelves? Whereas there are a lot more PlayStation physical disk drive folks available, so those are more an addressable market. So it is an interesting thing to see.
Yuzu, I got 2 of them at launch, so they weren't that hard to find. But I understand what you're saying, writ large with the scalpers and whatnot.
So okay, let us move forward. I have a few odds and ends that I want to get to, and then we'll call it. But I'm loving the conversation we're having here. First off, ladies and gentlemen, of the 240 some odd folks in here across the various platforms, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you on a Saturday morning. We always enjoy afternoon now. We enjoy having y'all here. Hit the like button if you haven't done so. Consider subscribing. Appreciate y'all for continuing to be here and supporting us. So I have to ask this question. Right, you got to speak about your Sonic that you love so much. Which, by the way, I didn't say it, but I'm also playing Sonic, and I also like it. I haven't put too many hours in it just yet, but I have it on the handheld.
Generation side or the Shadow side?
I'm playing the Shadow side right now. I played the Generations a long time ago.
And they're doing
it's quite
things,
good.
Right?
It's quite good. I will be able to speak more to it when I put more time into it. Haven't been able to put enough time into it just yet. So for now, I'll just pump the brakes and say, I see a lot of the things you're seeing, and I think it's a good thing. Don Otaku,
odd numbers, or are we?
We will. Don Otaku, $10 super chat. He says Astrobot is just bad. At least Sonic ain't stealing Mario's flow. Just as bad. My bad. At least Sonic ain't stealing Mario's flow to get attention. Either way, indie IPs like It Takes Two are selling 20 million. Both games need to get their level to be successful.
Wait a minute. Did it do 20 million or did it do 10? I thought it did 10. If it did 20, that is nuts.
I think it did 20 when it was all told.
Can we fact check that? Because I thought it was.
Yeah.
And if it did do 20, somebody's lying, because we hearing a lot of Astrobot did this and that.
I will look it up and I will let you know exactly the deets of it all. But while I do that, let us move forward. And I have to ask the question.
20.
Yeah. Ultimately, when it was all said and done, I'm pretty sure it was 20.
Okay.
Right.
What game is this?
It Takes Two.
Oh yeah.
It Takes Two did
Okay,
20 million.
somebody's math is not mathing, because
The math ain't mathing, ladies and gentlemen.
that this was what. Remember back when they were saying it was
And
the
remember,
anticipated game from Eurogamer before it came out, and then you had other people saying it. Okay,
look,
sure.
and here's a reminder: It Takes Two, despite the fact that you needed a second person to even play the game, they made it so that way you didn't need to own a second copy to be able to play the game. There was
send the code
version
code
that was free, that essentially allowed you to be able to put in a friend code, and you could play the entire game if your friend owned the game. That means 20 million people specifically bought the game and then got 20 million other people to play it with them.
Yeah. Although at the time it won the award, I was kind of dubious as to the motive. In hindsight, it does seem that game really made a huge splash and deserved it at the time, right? It just did. It really did break a lot of records. You know. But okay, I want to bring this up because if I don't, nobody else will, because nobody cares. Just like nobody cares about Sonic. After 1 million sold. It has been said that nobody cares about VR. But Batman Arkham Shadows has monstrous reviews. People love it. I have played a little bit of it. I know some folks who have also been playing a little bit of it as well. My two hot takes. I have one hot take and one question, and I want to bring this to the forefront here. My hot take is, as much as I'm loving it, because I really am, it is really a great Arkham simulator, if you will. It reminds you of the greatness that was Arkham of its time. The textures are trash in this game. Oh my God. When you start playing this game, the first thing I'm like, why didn't y'all just have people just stream this from their PCs? Because running it from that mobile chip is painful. But 22 seconds in, you forget all that. When they have you lift your cape and now you're flying, it is amazing. My question I bring here, because I know you guys aren't big VR guys in general, but with this game and games of this kind making the splash it is this the way to get people into VR? And if this doesn't do it, will anything do it? Because and I'll bring you to this, Everborn. I know you have a Quest 3. I don't know if you've played it yet or not, this game, but I guess my question is, and I've spoken to a lot of people, how is VR? Oh, what's the pain points of it? Oh, it's cumbersome, this and that and the third. This, you literally buy the game like you would in any console, hit play, put your headset on, and you're playing it. Have you played this Everborn Saga? And if this doesn't get you into this ecosystem, will anything get you? Is it just standard? It's not going to happen for people, or should they give up on this idea? What do you think? Because I feel like this game is it. If people don't jump in because of this, where else would you jump in? What do you think?
I mean, that all depends on whether you look at the Quest as a game console, right?
Okay.
Believe it or not, I've actually been using the Quest 3 a lot this week. As you know,
the spatial app?
I didn't get to. I did use that. That's very interesting. Although
I actually have it as well. I bought the spatial app.
It did crash the system, and I had to do a hard reset, soft reset. I had to hold the power button, but that's neither here nor there. When it works, though, it's great.
It is great, yeah.
But I will say that it's not that no one wants VR. We know that the Quest 2 sold 20 million or more, right? So people are getting these things. And now they've got a price point that's more conducive to people jumping in and trying it with the 3S, which I just got for the kids. So I could take back my proper Quest 3. But when I got my Quest 3 back after cleaning the eyepiece, because I don't want any kid eye cooties.
Some cooties, that's right.
I have been using a lot of the AR stuff just to see how far along they've come, and to me, that's the future of what this stuff could be. Like VR when you want it, sure, but the AR stuff is where it's at. So I've been, I've been messing around with, like you said, the spatial app, which basically is $10. It saves you $3,000 from buying a. It basically gives you. It gives you the
Apple Vision Pro,
the Vision Pro user interface within the Quest, and it is almost
Fantastic.
just as good, right? Like,
Yeah, fantastic.
there are
It
new
is.
features that are like integration features that are coming, but they're not there yet. Like, there's something you can do in the Vision Pro where you just look at your Mac screen and then it automatically turns it into a virtual secondary screen. So that's
It
coming
blows
to
up on your
Windows.
face.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's also, as I understand it, it should be coming to phones as well. So what would be very cool is if you can do phone mirroring, so you can, in your hand, just look at the phone and then it'll like
And it
be on
shows
a
it
bigger
on
screen
it.
right
That'd
there.
be awesome. Oh man,
Um,
that'd be
So
awesome.
these are all the possibilities of AR that has me excited to use this thing again. But I like gaming wise, like this Arkham Shadows,
Still not so
I
much.
don't care at all.
Okay.
Like and I got it for free with the 3S, by the way.
Yeah, you should play it. Like it's really
Didn't even
good.
install it. Generally don't
It's
care.
really good. All right.
But to me, AR is where it's at, and there's a lot of stuff going on in AR. Even
Lucius,
AR gaming
I'll pose
is
the
fun.
same question to you.
Wait a minute, before you ask
Lucius.
Lucius, I want to say this other
Yeah,
thing. People really should consider this stuff for AR gaming. There's a lot of fun stuff going on. Like there's a boxing game.
Put stuff on your table.
Right.
And you see your world, and there's the game on the table. Yes.
But there's also like boxing or like FPS games that you're playing in VR where like invaders are coming into your home and you have to shoot
into your
them.
home. That's
your
right,
home.
yeah.
You can just walk around your house and do things like that. I saw another thing. It felt like just it was a tech demo. It was kind
I
of
will
fake.
not be playing a home invasion simulator. No, thank you.
But it's zombies and things like that. Obviously, if you listen to the beginning of this podcast, you don't have a good time with zombies.
Yeah,
So
with zombies, that's right. Yeah.
But I saw another thing where it's like you can reimagine your home. This might have been for the Vision Pro, but I don't see any reason why the Quest can't do it. But it reimagines your home in real time, and you say, "I want my home. Everything is in the same place, but it redraws it in AR in a different time period. Show me a Victorian style." Right?
Okay.
And it'll make your desk wooden.
That's cool.
Or show me a Stone Age time, and your refrigerator will be made out of stone, and it'll be like Flintstones, and it's happening in real time. So it's things like that. But like what Meta has done with the movie experience, like they're doing really, really interesting things. And again,
and I will let Mr. Wolf's comment just sit because this is what I expect from Mr. Wolf. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. I'm gonna let that one be there. If you're a visual viewer, you got that nugget of detail. I will not. Repeat it.
I mean, as much as we hate to admit it, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
I think there was some stat that came out that said OnlyFans stars, like if you look at all the payouts they've done, it's higher than what the NBA player payout is.
Insane. Wow.
Moral degradation.
God. Right? Like where do we live?
Level of down bad that people are out there.
That's crazy.
So you had this one. Another headline came out. One of the OnlyFans people there. They're retiring after 3 years and making $67 million.
Yo,
like for people like that, their perception of money and hard work and anything.
Yep.
It's just completely blown.
Wait a minute. And this is the last thing I'll say. And I learned this. I was today years old when I learned this, or last week years old when I learned this. I saw someone saying, I'm using this glam AI to create a face and a body.
Yeah.
And they were able
to.
It's
a scary place.
Right. Listen to this. This is interesting. People will be interested in this. So they basically used AI to create a model, and then they used AI video generation
to make a move.
Right. And then they posted on Instagram and OnlyFans and had people donating money to them to the point where they're making $6,000 a month.
Could you imagine being a whale for an AI?
Man, business is just waiting to be made, bro. You just gotta sit down
in a basement somewhere. Program
being
the best wife,
being the most famous AI character
and now
on
suddenly,
OnlyFans.
bro. I need to, bro. I'm judging it, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? These people, It's
Oh yeah.
it's their fault for throwing their money at this. I need to learn how to do this so that way I can scam these nerds out of this money.
Listen,
That's what I need to do.
Let me tell you something right now, right?
Mhm.
When the AI does come and take all our jobs,
Mhm.
that might be the way.
Shout out to the AI overlords. That's right. But okay, so
Gotta
since y'all
ride the
brought up
wave instead of getting consumed by it.
since y'all brought up the AI overlords and since y'all brought up social media, I had a question I had to ask, and what brought this about was seeing that Phil Spencer is now on Threads. That seems to be his new social media of choice. Some have chosen Blue Sky, others have chosen Threads. Right. I recently signed up to Well, I've had a Blue Sky account for a long time, but I recently started using it more properly. I guess my question is, and this just brought this to mind. My question is, clearly, it looks like the thing that we know as Twitter/X is, I wouldn't say not long for the world, but maybe past its prime. Where's our next social network? Where's our social gathering space that we're gonna talk gaming?
Let me just say something about both Threads and
Hold on.
1 second, Lucius.
Okay.
Let's stop you right there. I have heard far too many times that X or Twitter is dead.
Dead. I didn't say that.
Like,
I said it's past its prime.
People to go into the Discord that we created and
I know.
stay there.
Hey
And
man, but a lot of people, a lot of our social media friends, a lot of our content creator buddies are all over Blue Sky now.
And X and Elon is sitting there like Thanos saying you couldn't live with your failure, and where's that brought you? Right?
Back to me.
And I am not a fan of Elon at all, but like I'm just tired of people saying, come follow me on Threads or on Blue Sky, or let me make a big announcement that I'm leaving, and then a month
And
later,
then 5 years later, you're back.
Each when some big news breaks.
Yep.
Like when it's dead, great. I'll spit on its grave. But until then, I don't want to hear about Blue Sky or whatever else, because nobody's really gonna like use it. And I can't manage more than one social. Like I'm not even on Instagram because I'm on. Like there's not enough hours in the day for me to even play games and write and then be a father and then work at the job that they want me to work because they pay me, right? I don't have time for that. I definitely don't have time for a second or third social platform. I can't do it.
Lucius, you were gonna say?
Here's what I will say about Threads versus Blue Sky. The corpos seem to be choosing Threads, and the indie devs seem to be
choosing Blue Sky.
And I am gonna go follow the indie devs because that's where all the interesting, cool, artistic stuff is, in comparison to seeing a post by Phil Spencer. I don't give a shit what that guy says at this point.
Hey, calm down, sir. Calm down, sir.
Listen, all of them are trying to get away from the crumb side, and the problem is the crumb side will follow you. Once they get there, then they're just going to run away even more. So I'm not running to a platform to try to get to people who are trying to get away from.
I'm not telling you to go anywhere. I'm simply saying that I'm definitely not going to Threads because it seems there's no appeal there for me because I don't want to follow a bunch of corpos.
So you're falling on the Blue Sky side of things, which from an app to app perspective, I do like. I will have to say I do like Blue Sky because it reminds me of Twitter before it became corrupted. It reminds me of like Blue Sky, literally Blue Sky. Like Blue Sky Twitter when it was innocent and everybody was like, hey, this is a great app, great tool to use. That seems to be that energy that Blue Sky has been able to garner, right? And it's made by the people who made Twitter, so there's that. But I just find it interesting that as Everborn has noted, every 5 minutes somebody's talking about the death of Twitter, and then everybody's like, I think with the unblocking or block the modifications to the block policy. Like just that day alone, like 3 million people signed up to Blue Sky. Like it's an interesting time we find ourselves when it seems like every 5 minutes there's a new patronage, there's a new pilgrimage to this social media network versus that, all to try and downplay Twitter when it's still the seemingly the monster in the room. You know, it is what it is. But I guess I say all that to say, come find me on Blue Sky. I'm still on Twitter though. Don't even worry about it.
Singing X's praises. I'm just like, let it die, and whoever the victor
and then we'll
is,
talk
I'll go there. Because I'm tired of the back and forth. And
no, I feel you.
I just started using Twitter less because my timeline, despite me not engaging with these posts or like clicking on the 3 dots and saying I don't want to see these things, Twitter keeps showing me the most salacious, insane, like people dying on my timeline. I don't need to see that terrible. At 8 a.m.
You know what?
Stuff like that.
You know what else I don't need to see at 8 a.m.?
What's that?
Like, I could be at the office, or like, you guys may not know this, but I have another business with Lady Everborn. We have a daycare business or whatever, and like, I could be taking out my phone just looking because someone DM'd me, and then the timeline has crazy things on it. Right? And it's getting sort of worse and worse. So I could be in an office meeting, I pick up my phone, there's people next to me, and then there's like ass just on the timeline, like I was looking at this, right? And what happens is, you'll open the phone and it doesn't go back to where you were on the timeline, because it reloads and gives you like a whole refresh timeline anytime you refresh it. That is crazy.
It's a crapshoot. You never know what you're gonna get. That's right.
So that, like, I can't even, like, I have to like be somewhere private before I even open the app. So that also causes me to use it less, because you never know what's gonna pop up on it.
And once again, you can't curate it, so it's not even like this is the stuff that you engage with. No, I try to not engage with that stuff. I intentionally tell it not to give it to me, and it's still giving it to me.
Pops up. So Everborn, maybe this might be a feather in the cap of Blue Sky. They are not currently using a curation algorithm, so you get what you get based on the people you follow. That's it, right? And that might be why people are pushing themselves more into that Blue Sky area, because all that mature, we're gonna give you what we think you want, a tunnel vision thing is not really happening on Blue Sky, because they don't have an algorithm pushing that stuff towards you. But I do hear you on the idea that every 5 minutes there's somebody else trying to take the king's crown, and clearly the king's still wearing its crown. So let's just keep it moving on there. But it is what it is. I do want to bring up another thing, and this is mainly to tell you that people got your letters, man. Everborn Saga, they got your letters. It's happening. A week ago, probably it was, Everborn reached out to me and be like, hey man, how do I do this versus that? Because I'm sick and tired of not being able to control the keyboard on my handheld. I'm trying to live that console emotional gamer life. And as such, sometimes I'm going into Steam, or I'm going into some kind of user interface that needs a keyboard interface, and I can't use it with my controller. I swear to you, Microsoft was tapping our phone lines. They were listening in, because a week later, here you go, Mr. Everborn Saga. Have you tried this yet?
I have not tried it, because the update has not come to any of my PCs yet. Not my ROG Ally.
You're not in the insider beta thing?
I am in the insider beta, but that one's not there.
Interesting.
I think they're holding it back from me specifically because I spoke up.
Because you asked for it.
They're like, no soup for you.
Exactly.
But whatever. But I have not gotten to try it yet. We'll see. We'll see what happens. The snail's pace at which they are moving to address this stuff is
frustrating. I understand. Yes.
It's baffling, really.
And again, it's like they genuinely don't care, because I know exactly what's happening.
You would think that this is Xbox from 2016 that made them no money, rather than their third biggest department.
Well, let me tell you what's going on here, Lucius. Just as a longtime follower of Microsoft, right? And I'm talking about all parts of the business, not just gaming, because I know a lot of people are Xbox fans, but not necessarily Microsoft fans, right? But if you've been following this stuff long enough, if you've been in the trenches and you know people like Paul Thurrott, and you knew Tom Warren before he started reporting on Xbox, and you know, obviously Brad Sams, if you know who some of these people are, and you follow all this stuff. The way they think about things is how many we're going to do something if it will touch the max amount of people, and we're going to look at our telemetry and say not a lot of people use this aspect of it, so we're just not going to get to it. And what they've like what
not
they have
understanding that the reason
I
people don't do it,
completely understand. We're on the same page. But what I'm saying is they will look and they will say how many people are doing the CEG thing today. And if we do something or if we don't do something, what percentage of gaming on PC will take place on the Windows platform, whether we touch anything or not? And they'll say, oh, 90% will still be on Windows no matter what. And most of the stuff on Linux will be emulating Windows. Yeah, we'll get
it's
to
not
it.
Worth our time. Yep. Deprioritize.
Right? And so you'll get these updates, but it's whenever they feel like it. There's no sense of urgency to doing these things. And all the while, let's say it'll take them 2-3 years to get it to where it should be. Where is SteamOS and Valve today? And how far along will Big Picture Mode and SteamOS or Bazite or whatever be 3 years from now?
Yeah.
Right? In the time that it'll take them. So just to get to where we are today, how long would it take Microsoft to get there? And even if they have the desire to go all out and do the things that they should do. And all of that is because if you look at that Steam survey, they said controller support has tripled. You know what it tripled to? 15%.
That's it. Yeah, you'd think
it
it'd be
was
a lot more.
5%. Now 15% of people gaming on PC use a controller. So I think Microsoft is looking at the same data and saying, yeah, we're not going to kill ourselves for that, 5% of people that are using the Xbox app with a controller. But again, they're using it that way because that's the only option you've given them to use it. Right? And for me, I find myself someone who is just struggling to stay in the ecosystem because I'm just like, why should I when Steam is doing the things that I need to happen right now for my own preferences? And that's only going to get worse. I have 105 Steam games right now. 105.
105? Oh, you just a baby in this still, bro. Come on now. One Steam sale away, one summer sale away, and you the double digits of 105. That's nothing. Keep it up.
Right. But look what he said.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there he goes. I lost you for a moment. Yeah, we all froze. I have a feeling there's an issue going on with this setup. Forgive us. It's not my connection per se.
With this setup, or it could be YouTube. Yeah. Sometimes YouTube has issues.
They're little herky jerky.
Tell you anything.
Yeah.
Well, but again, I'm saying 105. I started on Steam only one game, which was Cyberpunk 2077.
Dorian Gray says, "Oh, what a wonderful rose you are! What a child! He's got 1,497 games."
Sure, but he's probably been gaming on PC a long time. I started in April, but my point is that number is growing exponentially, right?
Yeah.
And I was saying, look at Jacko 6's comment right above Dorian Gray's.
Yeah, he says, keep in mind that 90% of gamers are developed in the Microsoft Windows ecosystem or environment, I should say. So who's keeping up with those?
Right, but true. I think that's true. To that point is why they feel like there's no urgency for them to kind of address these things and get up to par with the experience that Steam offers. So this is just the way they think as a company. What can they do that will hit the most amount of people? So that's why
I'll ask one last question and we can move on.
They're taking so long for us to get to them.
So I want to talk about Black Ops 6 numbers and we can move on. But I have to ask, are these two different people holding one controller? Because they both, if it's one person,
they're
then
both wearing a watch.
I got a question. His watch wearing capabilities here. So
that seems like it's some AI going on.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, hey, now something looked wrong here. Anyway, all right, let us move on. I guess the last thing I want to talk about, and we can talk about a few other things if you want to, but I want to keep it to 3 hours.
Oh, there is this last one I do want to talk about, which is this guy here. We can talk about it after your point, but we got these new
ooh, what you got there?
New Steel Series, the buds.
Ah, you bought Steel Series buds. Interesting.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Oh, are those the ones that can connect to Xbox and PlayStation?
Yes.
Nice.
Oh, the multiple ones. Okay. Yep. Interesting. But I guess what I want to bring up is this. $179?
Yeah. But here's the thing. They feel way more comfortable in my ears than either the Pixel Buds or the AirPods Pro. Like they stay like this. The sound is very good. Like I almost want to use these for the phone. I won't, just because the other ones connect with those devices so well. But like those are my headphones for the Ally X. Like clutch.
Excellent.
Highly recommend.
I may want to look into those myself. It's been a minute. I like headphones that connect to multiple things at once.
Yeah.
So,
but also, if you're gonna like play for hours and you don't want it to like hurt your earlobes, those are the ones to get. Like they're just I don't know if it's ergonomically designed. Like I don't know what you would call that, but whatever you call it, like they fit super comfortably in the ear, unlike many other headphones that I've used. So definitely recommend, and they have a very long battery life as well.
So shout out to the over 200 people that are in here, 230 plus people that are in here via all the various networks that we're watching. Even if you happen to be on Blue Sky, where by the way, this their YouTube links embed, so you can literally watch it from Blue Sky just by a YouTube link instead of having to necessarily broadcast to it. So if you're watching from there, shout out to you. Thank you guys so much for continuing to rock with us. This story I brought up, I'm bringing up because this is your game of the year, Everborn Saga. Your game of the year that came out, had a big splash, and then now they're firing the entire studio. And that is the Ubisoft disbanding the team that made Prince of Persia Lost Crown. I'm giving you an opportunity to cry about it. Go ahead.
Slight correction. The entire team is not lost. There's some of them are working on, they've been moved to other studios, but the team itself is disbanded. And some of them are working on a new Rayman game, which is very interesting, as reported by Tom Henderson. But they have been moved around. I don't know if any of them were actually fired. It sucks that the team itself is going away.
Is just disbanded. Yes.
But that being said,
speak on it. Yes, I know you love this game. Go ahead.
This game was entirely, in my opinion, sabotaged by Ubisoft, and it was sabotaged by things that had nothing to do with the game itself. For example, the price was way higher than people expected a game like this to be. Now, again, I know that they put a lot of production value into it. I know that it is a 40+ hour game. I understand it. But at the end of the day, it is still a Metroidvania, and people do not expect to pay $50 for a Metroidvania. Ori and the Will of the Wisp was $30, I believe. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, and that was a super long game, and it had all the production value and all that, right? So, and the reason they priced it at $49.99, which was a turnoff for a lot of people for this kind of game, was specifically because they wanted to entice people to go and get Ubisoft Plus,
which worked on me,
right?
It did.
I ended up buying this game on Xbox and Steam. I think I also bought it on. I might have bought this game 3 times, believe it or not. I did because I bought it. I bought it before it came to Steam. That's point 2. They forced it into their own launcher, and like we can like this or not, and we can say people are dogmatic about launchers or whatever. There's a reason EA and Microsoft and everybody, even though they have their own launcher, still launch in Steam, because people have large libraries there and they'd like to keep their libraries in a single place. Now, that may not be prudent because, you want to diversify where your library is, but people like being able to launch things from a single launcher. And that and on top of the price killed it. And it was because they were trying to use it to boost up their subscription service, and because they thought, well, we're Ubisoft and this is Prince of Persia, so it commands a $50 price tag, and because they wanted people to use their launcher so they could collect all the telemetry that they couldn't if they put it in Steam, and they didn't want to give up that 30%. All of that, even though they were getting the full 100%, they still priced it at $50. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And now they want to know why it didn't sell, and the team has to pay for that.
Yeah.
Because of the things that the company did. And again, they made a game of the year quality game. And because it was never put in a position where it had the best chance to sell. And now that becomes the team's fault.
Lucius, what are your thoughts? Did you play the game?
So this year has been too good for video games, because even a game like this that I've told myself I'm going to get a chance to be able to get this, there's just been too many games. And as I've been telling you, I've been playing multiple mega. Okay. I've been playing multiple like mega long games, right? Like 100-hour plus long games. So there's not much in between that I can fit inside of there. So I was really hoping that I would be able to play this game probably in December, because the only game that I have for then is Indiana Jones, and that's pretty much it. So unfortunately, I just didn't get a chance to play it, but it did look good. Every single person around me told me to get this game because it was so good, but I just
the DLC. I hear people are really liking.
I haven't gotten to the DLC yet, but it took me over I think I'm like 50 something hours into it to beat the game, and I tried to do everything that was available there. But this might. I got to see where I end up, but right now this might be my game of the year overall. That's how good it is.
There you go. This is why I brought it up, because I remember you talking so highly of this game, and it's so sad. It's almost like the tale of
Hi-Fi
what
Rush,
do you call it? Hi-Fi Rush, exactly. You did a great job, and for that you get disbanded. It just seems very sad. All right, so I see a super chat from BT Maverick. I want to address that one in our final statement. Before I do, though, I will say some stories that we probably don't have time to talk about is Netflix closing the AAA studio before they make anything, right? Netflix had a AAA studio. They hired Joe Staten.
We all knew this was going to happen.
And, they closed stories before.
I want to ask you one question about that really quickly.
Okay.
Do we Halo campaign stands?
Oh, no.
Now
it looks like we're cut up again. Lucius, can you hear me? Oh, you back?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
It's I heard do we Halo.
Okay, but you hear me now?
Yes, speaking.
Us Halo campaign stands. Do we need Joseph Staten back in Halo Studios?
I think that
we want to take it forward and go to a new direction.
From a storytelling perspective, he was always great at it, and I remember like some of my favorite stories in Halo are his stories, but he's not just there for the storytelling, right? He's also there to lead and also there to put pieces together and this and that. And in that realm, I think they should move on beyond him.
Yeah,
because sorry. Okay, I'll just say this really quick. Yeah. Sorry, Lucius. I don't know if this is the case. I don't know how they get along. I don't know any of that. But I do know from my own like corporate experience, right? When you have a new team lead, you have a new like CTO, you have a new whatever, right? For them to sort of manage and govern effectively, it can become difficult when you have like an OG that was there from the beginning saying this is the way we should do things.
Yeah, pulling strings and things.
And then the people below, like the workers below, almost don't know who to look to for direction. So it's like this is the new guy in charge, but this is the other guy who has all the legacy here, and they might have different ideas. I know he said this thing, but I'm going to look to you about that thing, and that can, not saying it will, that could cause troubles. I don't know how those two get along, or how well those two work together. But for me, like, if just forget about gaming, forget about Halo, just from a management perspective, I think you want to let the old guard go off into the sunset.
That's why I say, from a storytelling perspective. That's why I say that from a storytelling perspective, you like that Halo feel. You like the way the story was doled out. I think he's uniquely qualified to continue with that energy, and that's great. Obviously, some new blood can do that as well, but don't let him be in a leadership position. Like, right?
Yeah, but like, even when you, again, this is what I'm talking about, like the on the ground politics of it. Sometimes
he'll end up in that way,
be in a leadership position, but people still look to him, and maybe you don't need that right now. I don't know.
I don't know why, but I have no reason to think this, but I feel like the new leader of 343 Halo Studios don't take no crap from nobody. I have that feeling
might just
with
be
him.
because he's German, and German people are very direct when they speak.
He is German and he is black. He seems like he just don't take no crap from nobody. He's just like, So I feel like some of those political situations that were on the ground may not necessarily be something that will continue to move forward. But I have faith. I want to see him put his foot down, as it were, and see what he can do when he's at the helm, as he's done with Halo MCC, right? So there's that. Lucius, you were going to say, Staten, do we need him back?
Well, I was going to say essentially what you were going to say, Kay, but now that Everborn brings that up, Microsoft has historically been one of the most politically and if you understand my use of political, it isn't like Democrat, Republican.
Of course. Yeah.
All this politics.
Yes.
It is a minefield of incentives and
small p
power,
political. Yes.
And so it's always been like that at Microsoft. So the fact that that could end up being a problem means that we may not see Staten be in any role, simply because his shadow is too large.
Right. If the potential of it is there, should we even go down that road?
As much as I would love an ODST2, I just
that's
don't
what I was thinking. Yeah.
I just don't know if things that Staten wants doesn't suddenly start impacting the tech team, stuff like that. I don't know.
Okay, so let's move forward real quick. Again, I said there's some stories that I was going to touch on, but we're going to miss it. I don't want to be too late. I want to be around 3 hours, so we'll do that. But I see BT Maverick's last message, and we'll get to that. I will mention that there's also stories of Everwild with Phil Spencer actually playing it. So maybe it's not closed. It's not
I don't know,
a canceled game.
I just want to say,
never wild.
Every time in these new waters, every time a gaming CEO goes and takes a picture with the staff, you better start getting
it's a wrap. Then you know it's over. And take a look.
Rest in peace.
With the staff.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. He says, "Damn."
Last time that he showed up,
I feel like these CEOs should be going there with a scythe, right?
It was like, wearing the hood.
Phil Spencer taking a picture with the team, and Sarah Bond. Sarah Bond sending a congratulatory tweet. Those as a wombo combo, you're being shut down.
We're talking about red flags.
So there's that. And then, of course, there's a story that
serious
Xbox.
Note, so Rare isn't going anywhere. They did see Everwild is a different story, but Rare is not going anywhere.
Yeah, I doubt it. Sea of Thieves solidifies them.
Right. Right. And they also went to Mojang. Mojang prints money for them. They aren't going anywhere.
Exactly. Yes.
But still, be wary.
Xbox Series X outselling the Series S in the US for the first time in a while, although console sales are still dropping. That was an interesting story. We don't have time to talk about that. Besides the Call of Duty conversation we've had, and yes, I like Call of Duty. I like the campaign. I'm going to continue playing it. There's been a lot of talk of the marketing, which seems to be blockbuster level now, right? They're throwing a lot of money at it. Once again, you still don't see ABK themselves coming out and throwing the Game Pass word around all over the place, but Microsoft themselves, Xbox, has been doing a lot of like really high level marketing. So there's that. Unless you guys have any opposition to that talking point, I think we can leave that there. Go ahead.
Just one thing I'll say about the last point, the Series S and the Series X.
Okay.
I still want to come back to I don't know how much of the Series S is more of a self-fulfilling prophecy, meaning like in the beginning, like more S's were sold. Is that because that's what people wanted, or because that's what's available? And do we have any conclusive data?
Available. Yeah.
Right? Do we have any conclusive data to say that people that bought the Series S at $299, what percentage of them would not have opted for a $399 discless if that was available to them in that
that's
time?
water under the bridge, man. That's already happened. They're still in the ecosystem with the Series S today.
I
whether they wanted the X, and that's not the point.
This is Monday morning quarterbacking, but like I feel like these are questions that should be asked, because a lot of people speak very definitively about the Series S. But
this is also something that you mentioned before, Everborn, about has the Series S been a success for what it was trying to do? If the objective was to get people who wouldn't have bought an Xbox in the first place to be able to buy Series S's as a way to be able to engage inside of the ecosystem, considering that we're seeing lower sales numbers than we have with the Xbox One, would indicate to me that that isn't the case, because of the people who haven't moved over to the new generation, the people who are still on their Xbox Ones, there's a lot of people still playing Call of Duty, Fortnite, X, Y, and Z. You would think that those people would be incentivized to go the cheapest route towards the next generation. There hasn't been a reason for them to do that yet. So I don't know if the Series S has really done its job outside of forcing devs not to go completely rampant when it comes to their development. Because the Series S exists, it forces a lot of devs to like, okay, we have to optimize our game.
Right, and
optimization. I would argue if that was not there, our games would be coming out even worse.
Right, but here's the thing. I wonder, right? Because optimization is time, and a lot of people have been confused. Where if you read the white paper, if you look at the hardware, if you look at the compute units, if you look at the power of the Series X, it should, in all cases, outperform the PS5. And I think the reason that it doesn't is because, or not doesn't, that's false, but like in the cases where it doesn't, we've seen time and time again, it was just up to optimization from the devs and whether they had time to do it.
Prioritization.
So the question is, if they had gone with a single SoC sort of, or GPU, whatever it is, just like Series X
if
digital,
they used one reference design versus the two different ones, would that have changed
wouldn't that in theory give devs more time to optimize for the Series X the way that they should have, but they had to spend that time on the Series S?
Right?
No, I mean, maybe, but no, it's not the same. See, Lucius, let me tackle that real quick, and I'll let you on the back end. The reason why I disagree with that notion is the Series X has the same brute force capabilities as has brute force capabilities, right? So I don't think the behaviors on the dev side would have changed whether if the Series X was the only one available, because you can still give them a BS port and have them brute force the rest, which is what continuing to happen.
What I'm saying
on the Series S end, it only works when you optimize it. So I don't think that would have changed the equation at all.
I understand, but there's still like, okay, you have a release date, right? Let's say you have a November 5th release date, right?
Yeah.
You're working on one SKU for the PlayStation, and you're working on whatever you're doing to port to the Series X, and then you're optimizing for the Series S. There's a certain amount of time you have. There's a certain amount of man hours that you have. If the Series S was not a factor, wouldn't they then not have more time to optimize for the X? And let me just say this last thing before you respond. Is we have seen time and time again with things like Control and other games where maybe at launch these things, and I know Control came out before, but I'm just saying, like at launch, you'll see that the games
it'll run a certain way, and then later on
yes,
it'll be optimized
when
better.
they had the extra time. So I'm saying if you're not spending time optimizing for a lower SKU, that time theoretically could be put towards optimizing for the X.
While I agree with you, I do. The reason why I hedge my bet on I hedge that, and I'll let you respond as well, Lucius. Tell me what you think. The reason why I don't necessarily wholeheartedly like see I'm one with you on that is because the X at its core has the same output as the S does. If you optimize, let's assume there's only the X in the environment, but if you optimize for proper memory utilization, for using the X's tools as optimally as possible, you also have the S also covered. But what's seemingly happening from what we're seeing is because the X can brute force, they don't give it the time necessary, and then because the S forces you, because it won't run if you don't optimize there. Now people are complaining, right? Had you done that from jump, both the S and X with the same time would have worked well, because it's not like the optimization effort is two different streets for S and X. They're the same thing. The only thing is the X hedges the bet with a little bit of overhead, right?
Yeah, but
so they can brute force and get away with it.
The point is they have to optimize for the S,
yes,
and I'm saying,
and that was necessary. And as they do the same thing on the PlayStation, on the Nintendo side, but no one complains there.
S didn't exist, that optimization that they're doing to the
was
S,
necessary.
Yeah, I understand that. What I'm saying is, what if they spent that time optimizing for the X? And you're saying they wouldn't do that.
They are not. Yeah, they are not, because the X
but
has the hedge of brute force.
Optimizing for the S. You have to optimize for the S. If you're
Lucius, do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I understand exactly what I'm saying. If you have to spend time, if you're even if the PS5 is your target platform, right? And you're just stupidly, which I like, that's a reductive word, but you're just pushing over to the X and letting brute force handle whatever, and you're just doing what you did on PC, you're using DirectX, whatever. What I'm saying is, even if that is the case, today, all of those games, they still have to spend time on the S. Do you agree or do you not agree? You have to take time to optimize for it, whether they want to or not.
Yeah, but so, there's no way around optimizing for the S. Otherwise, it won't run right at all.
They would not optimize on the X if the S didn't exist. On the X if the S didn't exist.
Can I jump in?
Go ahead, Lucius. Yes.
Here's what I will say. I think we've all been inside of dev environments, and we all know project managers, devs, all up and down the scale. I think that if they didn't have a Series S, they would just put more time into the PS5 version.
Yep.
Because inherently, Xbox is a last thought process for both the management and the devs, and because of that, that's why you end up getting these like kind of shaky ports, because at the end of the day, they're just hands down not putting enough carte blanche time towards the Xbox
X at all. That's right.
And I think that we're only getting as much time as we are is because they know they need to give the Series S at least a little bit more time. And if we didn't have a Series S,
they'd have broken games.
That time would not be sucked up by Series X development. It would just be allocated towards more PS5 development, because they once again, it's an afterthought. So by the time that they get to the Xbox version, they would like scramble and then just do what they're doing now for it.
And Mr. Inferno Games' point is very apt here, right? That's exactly to Lucius's point, right? It's not about more time or not enough time. If they were the market leader, this wouldn't even be a factor. It's the fact that they're not is the reason why this keeps being pervasive.
Right, but here's the thing, right? like that doesn't matter because they're not the market leader. So the question, like, they made a market leader move knowing that they
That they weren't.
in the
Yeah.
position that they were in.
Yeah.
And so your job as not the market leader is to be as frictionless as possible. And what it sounds like, Lucius, you're saying, which I might agree with you. I'm not sure yet. I'll have to sleep on it. But what I took from what you're saying is, when you hear these devs complain about the Series S, it's because they're mad at it for taking time away from what they could have been spending on the PS5.
Yes.
Like, they're
100%.
mad at the Series S for not letting them get back to the PS5
Yes.
work.
And that's the reason why I keep saying you do not hear anyone bitch and complain about developing for Nintendo platforms. If you're
and the Nintendo Switch
because
has
they are
3.5 gigs of like memory.
There is no world where the S is more difficult to develop for than the Switch, but you hear no complaints because the addressable market is there. The only reason why you hear complaints about the S is because they are the whipping boy that's cachet to be whipping.
And don't get me wrong, there are some problems with the way that they designed the S, specifically the split memory.
The memory allocation.
Memory like that is never
but you know why they did that. Whether it's plus or whether they did that righteously or not, they did that expecting you, developer, to mesh shader everything, because then you don't have to worry about the memory. But no one's going to do that.
You shouldn't expect that when you're not the market leader.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Only Alan Wake 2 has done that, right? If you do, great. If you don't, then there we are. You know.
And so again, they're excellent at reading Excel sheets, but they're terrible at reading the room, right?
Sometimes.
And so that that to me, listen, again, it's all Monday morning quarterbacking, because I think all of this was a fantastic idea on paper. If you look historically, sales usually skyrocket when a console can hit that $299 price point. When they were their most successful, they launched the Xbox 360 at $299, even though you could get the hard drive and make it $399, which most people did. Just being able to advertise a $299 price point is the sweet spot for a console. That is what the Switch is at. That's why the Switch does so well. That's why they did well. Again, the Excel sheet will tell you that. But again, facts on the ground, your position in the market, your perception against developers, how you treat people that speak about you in public, your marketing, all of those things are factors as well. And so you can't just do what works well on paper without considering those things. And I don't think that they did. But again, Monday morning quarterbacking, we can move on. And for the COD sales, I'll move us on. These numbers are very interesting. So apparently they're the best COD numbers in the last 2 years. Which is interesting because this is the first time it's also available in the Windows Store
and on Steam,
and Game Pass and whatnot. And so I think the fact that it's higher than the last 2 games says something, and we don't even have a real, and I'm sure we'll get that maybe Monday or sometime next week, that they've launched to some record number, because they're going to include everybody that played on Game Pass PC, and then all the people that are accessing it through GeForce Now and all that stuff. So I think you're going to hear a huge number. Like now, what I'm also interested to see is what are the sales going to be? Because not that I would have bought a COD game anyway, but I'm playing it because it's in Game Pass. How much does Game Pass affect where it lands on the overall yearly charts?
I would say look at Steam, the Steam charts as an indication. Right now, it's like some of the highest concurrent players that it's had in a very long time, and this is just from the launch. This is probably one of the biggest launches on Steam. Where people have to buy the game because it's not available on Game Pass. It seems as if the Game Pass launch was relatively successful, and my understanding is that it still sold pretty well on PlayStation. So, like you said, on Monday, we might get the numbers, and they might be big. But what I do want to talk about is how a couple journalists tried to prime the pump and be
Absolutely.
like, oh, well, this might lead to 2 or 3 million Game Pass subscribers, but they're going to lose 6 million in sales. And I'm like, well, how does that number work? And that's not even the most egregious number that we'll talk about later. But like, how does that number work when they would gain 2 to 3 million subscribers, but then lose 6 million sales? Where does that 6 million sales
Where's the gap come from?
from? I'm very confused. Yeah, people are not buying it simply because it's on Game Pass, but also not jumping on Game Pass to play it. That doesn't make any sense. So,
but this is like you said with the priming the pump. This is the false dichotomy or Sophie's choice that they set up. They're gonna if the Game Pass numbers skyrocket because of it, they're gonna say, well, you lost that many sales. So if they say we got 5 million Game Pass signups because of this, then they're gonna say those are 5 million lost sales. That must be a loss, right? And then if it's vice versa, where they say we had the highest day one sales in 5 years,
and they go, oh well, then Game Pass is not sustainable.
Exactly.
Yes,
right?
I know. So it's a false dichotomy.
There's no winning. Sort of, what do you call it? It's gonna be spun in a way that it looks bad somehow.
It's a catch-22. It's a perfect catch-22.
Right. And here's the best thing. What they're gonna say is, even if it does record sales and it leads to record Game Pass signups, which the previous record holder is Starfield, even though people try to tell you that was a flop or mid. If it leads to record Game Pass signups and it is also doing record sales numbers, you know what they're going to say? Well, how long will those people stay subscribed?
Subscribed. Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
And they'll give you a non-determinate amount, right? And they're not going to take into. They're not going to take.
Microsoft stop trying to please these people when it's very clear when there's no metric in which they will ever be measured at success. As soon as Hellblade 2 came out looking the way that it did, and you had people asking
graphics didn't matter anymore.
It doesn't like, and that's when I started being like, okay, I don't think there's anything that they can do.
But you're onto something amazing, Lucius, that we got to go, so we won't talk about it now. But like, watch how the goalpost
gets
moved, right? From PC day and date to graphics matter to graphics don't matter, it's gameplay, to first party roadmaps matter to now it doesn't, to Metacritic score averages mattering until someone wins Publisher of the Year from Metacritic, and then those don't matter. Who cares about Metacritic publishers? So what I'm saying is, arguing with people who are not arguing in good faith or debating in good faith,
it's not even worth it.
Right. And it falls back on us or whoever is arguing with the bad faith person to realize
at this point,
these aren't arguments that are worth having.
At this point, like taking those arguments seriously is more on you than on them, because we already know that those arguments are bad faith. They just are. Mr. BT Maverick 707 with a $5 super chat. He'll close us out with a very interesting question that I wanted to have a quick chat about, which is, do we think Steam will ever get that anti-cheat addressed for their Steam Deck so games like COD, Destiny, and others will be playable? Now, first off, I will say it's not Steam that has to do that. That's the first part. But I will let Mr. Everborn Saga go ahead. Go ahead.
I think, and I'll keep coming back to this, we need to watch what happens with the fallout of that CrowdStrike thing that happened, right?
Okay.
Because Microsoft, a lot of people blame Microsoft for that, but they don't understand that Microsoft was forced by regulators to allow low-level kernel access to Windows.
Which then gives other third parties the ability to do things like this.
And that is what CrowdStrike used, but it is also what some of these other guys, Denuvo and the other anti-cheat stuff, right? Now, Microsoft is saying, see, look what happened. CrowdStrike messing up basically shut down the whole world for like 6 hours. We shouldn't have to give low-level kernel access, and this is what we warned you about. let us control that. And there are other ways. And the reason Proton has not found a way to emulate stuff that has that low level kernel access.
But here's the thing, though. I will correct you on one note. It is able to do that. It's just the vendors, in this case, like for example, he mentioned Destiny. Destiny was runnable via Proton day one. It was Bungie themselves who banned you for using it because they don't trust their anti-cheat working well and doing what anti-cheat's supposed to do on the Linux side. So it's not to say that Proton doesn't work. It definitely works. It's just the people who let you play those games see you're using Proton converted games and they'll ban you because of it.
And let's be
it's
clear.
not incompatibility.
Last thing I'll say,
technological reason why they're doing that.
I just want to say one more thing,
They're
Lucius.
cowards, but it's because Linux allows.
It's because Linux allows for exactly
everything, and
that's
they
why
can't control that.
Yes. And last thing I'll say is if Microsoft is successful going back to the regulators and removing that low level access, I think that there'll be a lot, whether people are allowing it or not. I think that that Proton and whatever else will be able to just run, and people will have less incentive to block Proton and Linux and things like that. So I like, we're a long road before getting there, but to answer the question, I think that if Microsoft is successful with locking down kernel level access, and then those anti-cheat stuff, software has to work at a higher level, then it'll be easier for things like Proton to support.
On Windows, I understand, right? I understand what Microsoft is saying because on Windows, they've always had backdoors are hard to achieve, relatively to the consumer. Right?
I mean, you give her enough drinks, she'll well,
Lord help us. No, but in general, and that's the reason why Microsoft is advocating to lock down kernel level access, because then it makes it far more difficult. It actually speaks to what we're describing here on the Linux side, which is it's like you only have one door to come in and one door to leave, but on the Linux side, it's inherently had multiple entry points. That is Linux. It always has been Linux. So even though Proton does a great job of being able to do that translation, because to this day, if Bungie hadn't put that kibosh on it, you could go in and run the game and it runs just fine. People were running it until Bungie started blocking them. It's because that operating system and operating systems of the like inherently have more ways of access to be able to get in the background and do cheat stuff, even with anti-cheat running. And they don't want that. They don't want the ability, well, because it's Linux, it kind of circumvents the anti-cheat process in the first place. So instead of doing the hard work of actually like filling all those gaps, they just will block it, ban it outright, right? From my perspective, it's in the best interest of the Denuvos of the world and all these other anti-cheat software to find new ways to convince these vendors, the people that use them, like Bungie, that hey, our new version can stop all of them, even on the Linux side. And so far, none of them have been able to be full throat with that response.
I think it's more of an sort of economies of scale.
Sure. How many people are really using it? Is it worth a squeeze to really go down the path of R&Ding and getting it to work?
We're gonna have to hope that Valve can push the Steam Deck far enough along to where it's too large of a base of people playing there.
Proton in general. Like if Proton in general finds itself everywhere, now it's in the best interest of all those anti-cheat makers to make sure that it's able to work.
So if, let's say, for example, if Valve finally kind of gets off their ass and releases SteamOS, and then the mini PC manufacturers and others are just shipping with that instead of Windows, and then Linux, gaming on Linux, obviously via Proton, becomes too large to ignore, then
there's no choice. They have incentive to go and do that work.
And that's how that will get solved.
Yeah. How about you, Lucius? What are your thoughts?
I think that at this point, Microsoft needs to figure something out, because Steam's not gonna sit on their butt all day for too long. It seems as if they're getting all their ducks in a row, and if they move first, just like Everborn said, we could be in a position where Proton becomes too powerful. But then I would question, with things like Call of Duty be moved over and made to work on Linux. I don't know,
because Call of Duty 6 runs on the Steam Deck right now. Am I wrong?
I don't know.
Has it been blocked?
I don't think any of the Call of Duties have worked properly on the Steam Deck.
Well, do they even allow you to run it, or does it get blocked?
Wait a minute.
I guess I'm not sure.
I don't think it launches.
Okay. Go ahead, Everborn.
Before we even get into that, I'm pretty sure under the CMA commitments is that they vowed to support other operating systems besides Windows. So maybe not right now. I don't know about Black Ops 6. I haven't tried it on the Steam Deck because
we still don't have Game Pass on.
Flood says COD runs on Steam Deck.
No COD runs on Steam Deck.
Oh, no COD runs on Steam Deck.
Comma.
Yes. No. Yeah. No. The anti-cheat doesn't allow it. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Understood.
So again, but I do think there will be a point where Microsoft
he's making the point clear. No.
is gonna be forced to make that work. I do think we'll see that.
That is though the last beachhead which they can kind of keep things at bay, right? The minute we're on the other side of it, and now all the various anti-cheat software or a new anti-cheat vendor shows up that can support Linux and it's fine, that may be the time when Microsoft has to kind of put the pedal to the metal, because you're enjoying COD right now. People love their COD. You can't play it on Steam Deck. When they solve that problem, now all of a sudden you're in trouble because there's no reason to keep you anymore.
Yeah. So in typical fashion, they'll react when it's too late. And then act like everybody's not giving them a fair shake. When they've been telling you the whole time, do this, that, and the other. But whatever.
It is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. I hear you, sir. I hear you. But okay, so we are around 3 hours and 23 people. We have almost 200. Yes, and we have almost 250 people in the chat, in the chat and or watching on various platforms that we've been streaming to. Thank you guys so much for continuing to stick with us. We appreciate y'all. But I think we're at the end of it. This episode's the app has been a little bit funky, but we're getting there. We're able to stick it out through to the end. Lucius, sir, you are our guest. I'll let you have the last bite of it. Sir, I appreciate you being here. Tell the people where they cannot find you. Tell us where else we'll be able to keep up with your ongoings on these here fair digital streets.
Don't look for me. Please don't. I don't need you interacting with me. I'd appreciate it if you didn't. But if you do want to interact with me, then you'll find me in the Discord. And that's pretty much the only place that I want to be interacted with. Please don't talk to me anywhere else. Please play Metaphor ReFantasio, as it is a fantastic game.
Fantastic woke game.
Yeah.
Boy. Stop using that thing wrong. I hate that.
Technically, we could be using it right, because the way that they make the game is very accurate too. It's very cognizant of all the power dynamics that exist inside of that world and how it affects every single person who lives there. So it's a very good game. You guys should definitely give it a chance. It is worth your time. And if it doesn't win at least something for Game of the Year, then I'm gonna riot.
You're gonna riot? I expected as much. Okay. Appreciate you being here, sir. Always a pleasure. Everborn Saga, how about you, man? Where can people find you besides the everbornsaga.com?
Well, why don't you go ahead and scroll through that? Scroll up first so they can see the big hero banner that we did at the top. We did one for each of the series. It's going to turn on its own. So we just redid the site. I want everybody to check this out. We got the fall line of clothes there. That shirt that you see Mr. K Asante wearing this is literally the only place you can buy that. That's the Karma shirt. We have one for Baltimore and we have one for Godwin. And if you scroll down, you can see some of the other things that we got there. Ariel's Adventure Chapter 2 is now available, and we are literally shipping out the orders the same day we get them.
Beautiful. Well designed
you got
website.
These new sweaters. We did a whole kind of fashion forward thing. So please go check out everbornsaga.com, as where you will be able to get this exclusive stuff, including like wall art we're doing as well. So check that out. And if I could just borrow the screen share for a second, I want to show you what we're working on next.
Yeah. What you got?
All right. So what you're looking at?
I'm gonna add it. Oh, you're not. Yeah. Let me add it to the mix here. Oh, actually, yeah. So it's added to the bottom. So what I'll do is I'll go to the welcome, and then I'll do one of these, and we'll go. Oh no, don't worry, I got you. It's like bam, and then we sharing the screen, and we'll go like that.
All right, here are some pages from the new series that's about to come out. Everborn, The Remnant. Now, if you know about this story, it's all about this ongoing conflict between Seraphs and Paladins. That's our way of saying Muggles and Wizards, or magic users and non-magic users. Best way to describe this story is Lord of the Rings meets X-Men. This would be the X-Men piece of it. We are the Seraphs are demigods, so they each get their powers from whatever bloodline they come from. You come from the fire line, you'll have fire magic. You come from the you could be a god of war, god of whisper, so on and so forth. And so,
hey, is there any TMs there? You said god of war.
easy. But the larger point is the Seraphs have been hunted for a long time, and this is showing things from their perspective. So anyone that displays magical abilities, there's like this inquisition that's happening, and this shows it from their perspective and why they decided to. They're tired of being in hiding, and they want to bring back their leader, who is the Everborn. He is the Magnus. He's the first Seraph, and that's what this story follows. And because I told you we're working on two things at once, so you can see a little bit here, right? I also want to show you some early pages at the Redlands Chapter 2.
Interesting. Look at that. And you can definitely see the art style change a little bit between the two.
Yeah, we try to get better with every chapter.
Nice. Now, when can we expect these books to be available for us?
The Redlands Chapter 2 is the next book you are going to get. It is going to be 60 plus pages. And Hargeet will be featured as a main character in there, by the way. Hargeet Chani.
Oh yeah, let's go. Hopefully you have his name correctly represented. I'm just saying.
Yes, and before we get to Comic-Con, The Remnant should be released. That's the other book that I was showing you. So these are the two things we're working on right now while trying to get production started for what's it called? For the next version of the next arc for Prince of Arcadia.
Okay.
And then hopefully by the end of the year, November, December-ish, we'll have Ariel's Adventure Chapter 3. So
fantastic.
Those are the things that's going on. But if you want to keep learning about that and you want to be first, you got to come here, because this is probably where I'll show stuff and talk about it. But please, please just go and check out everbornsaga.com. I just want you guys to see the work that we did. So that's it for me anyway.
Thank you. Yeah. As for me, you can catch me. There's some moving and shaking as far as the Gamers Playground. There's work time schedules that has been a little difficult for myself and Mr. John Wolf. So there may be some changes to the schedule and how we do the show. We're still talking about it in the background. We'll figure that out. Otherwise, I'm also on Prime Time with Mr. Boomstick. Always love doing that show on Wednesday evenings. I would also ask that if you have the opportunity to, go ahead and check us out on thegamingcircle.com. Our illustrious Kofi Cat we'll be leaving a review there, as well as some other folks within our community that'll do that. Will be doing that for us, talking about Metaphor. As you can see, we are actually on there right now. I love doing that so people can see what we're doing. You can come check us out on the gamingcircle.com, as well as check out the blog section, where we are writing some interesting blogs and talking about different kinds of gaming aspects that we may not be talking about on the podcast. So thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys for all your continued support. I will be one that will be still I'll be checking out Threads. I'll be checking out the blue sky, but you'll also be able to find me on X.
More power to you.
There you go. He'll keep it to X. I'll be all over those places. So
I'm
if you
probably
have a chance to.
well. Let me not say this. I was gonna say I should probably go at least lock down the name.
Yes.
So
I've actually tried to CC you or tag you on something, and I haven't been able to because I'm like, the man doesn't have a profile. Go get that thing done, man. Go get that thing done because that's important. Right, but anyway, thank you so much for being here. For myself, Mr. Everborn Saga, and the illustrious Koofy Cat, Mr. Lucius Augustus, we say thank you, and we will see y'all next week. Peace.
Nice to be in orbit.